Happy Halloween! Welcome to the Virtual Stream. Happy Halloween! Welcome to the Waking Dream. And happy Halloween! Welcome to the best damned stream on Twitch you'll ever find. What's up, y'all? Happy Halloween. Be back. I'm about to finish this motherfucking game tonight, baby. I'm committed. Let's go. Umineko, Nonaka, Koro, me. I'm back with my my YouTuber avatar, my VTuber. Got a new hairdo. Look at that. Look at that. You see that shit? Can you see that shit? Hold on. I don't think you can see that shit. Look at that shit. You can see it now. Look at that. Look at that shit. Look at that shit. A nice little perm. Little permanent. A permanent minute. Hold on. Take off this shit. But it's time. Today will be the last stream on the question arcs of Umineko. We're getting ready to finish this game up. Let's load it up. They look the same, looks like. They do too. What a great track by Belays. We're gonna stop that track though. Thank you, Belays. That Super Mario World track right there. Super Mario World 2, I should say. So guys, last time we played this game, we ended up Battler and Beatrice had a conversation. Beatrice was like, "Hey, you have a sin that you need to remember," and Battler's like, "Fuck, I'm a pot smoker. I don't remember anything that happened last week. You don't have to remind me." And Beatrice acted like she didn't want to tell Battler what the fuck she was talking about. So I mean, that's the worst thing to do when you apologize and the motherfucker doesn't even know what he did wrong, you know? So Beatrice is like, "Fuck you. I'm done." And she gave up in the game, basically. Well, one half of her gave up the game. The schoolgirl outfit dressed Beatrice gave up on the game, and then the proper dressed with a nice elegant gown dressed Beatrice. She's like, "Oh, I got it from here. Like, you can go ahead and sleep." Schoolgirl Beatrice, elegant Beatrice is gonna take it from here because Battler doesn't remember shit. Like, he's a fucking puss. So, because Battler doesn't remember the shit, basically she's saying that's why everybody had to die. Because he doesn't remember the shit that he did 6 years ago. So, keep that in mind as we go through this chapter. We're going to end up finishing this chapter tonight, I should say. So, let's keep continuing. I think we're back on Angie's point of view now. So, we're done with Battler because he done forgot shit like a pot-smoking fiend. And we don't have time for Battler. It's all about Angie now, so. Well, white, it wasn't white. It was the blindingly bright color of gold. It was gold! This place was the beautiful Usuramiya family rose garden. However, the roses were all gold. The nectar was also golden. I want some golden nectar. Sounds good, right? Speaking of golden nectar, it's Heineken time. My new camera tracks my eye blinks, so I can blink like that. I hope my eyes sound like that. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. I like it. I like it a little bit. The butterflies were gathering there and were gold as well. This is the Golden Land, bitches. The Promised Land, bitches. That the witches, bitches, of the Maria Sorciere would ultimately be guided to. There, all the wishes came true, and all magic and dreams came into being. Hey, it's Maria and it's Beatrice. Two of my witch members, if I'm Angie, so. In that garden of gold roses were two and only two witches. and at my uninvited appearance, the atmosphere trembled with unrest. What was to them an ominous and wind shook the golden roses. The incredibly beautiful scene formed by the golden rose petals scattering in the wind. The wind and the rain was without a doubt something not of this world. The two who had been taking a walk through the golden roses noticed me and reacted in surprise. It's me, it's Angie. You remember me? It's your cousin, Angie. So this is the Beatrice that took over for the schoolgirl outfit colored Beatrice. Colored, I don't know, wardrobe, they say. Colored. Beatrice that got upset about Battler not remembering what the fuck he did 6 years ago. So this is a different Beatrice who's I guess she's taking over for the real Beatrice, I guess. I can't say that any other way without spoiling shit, but the real Beatrice took a powder, hit the bricks, took a dirt nap, took some time off, went on vacation, went on a holiday, and this Beatrice is now taking over. And this is the Beatrice that we've seen for most of the game. The persona that we've seen for most of the game, basically. Like, we only saw the real Beatrice for a second, and that real Beatrice was talking to Battler on that balcony. The real Beatrice, the person who's dressing up as Beatrice, is what I'm referring to as the real Beatrice. That person asked Battler, you know, you remember your sin from 6 years ago? And Battler said, no. So that real person, that real Beatrice said, fuck, I'm going to like go ahead and give up my persona again to this fake fucking persona, Beatrice, because you don't remember shit, and this entire game was pointless, basically. So the entire reason why she killed all these fucking Ushormiya family members and servants, you know, and friends and shit, siblings, and, you know, daughters and sons and shit. The entire reason she did that is because of Battler doing something 6 years ago. That's all we know right now in episode 4. Question mark. Ask yourself what that could be. Yato spoke coldly. She seemed like a completely different person from the boldly sneering woman she had once been. Because she is. It's a totally different Beatrice. She had closed off her heart and shut herself up in a world where she was alone with Maria One-chan. A world where she could always be alone with friendly Maria One-chan. Conversing about magic while drinking tea. So basically pretending that nothing exists. Playing make-believe, playing that everything's alright when her world's falling apart basically around her. That's basically what Beatrice is doing. And again, we've seen that before with Angie. We've seen that before with Maria, right? We've seen that before with other people whose world have disintegrated, you know, in front of their eyes, and like they try to like use quote-unquote magic to fix their world. And that's it's literally what Beatrice has done too. No one to harry them, and nothing to hold them back. A world with not a single person who might hurt them existed. What a safe way to live, right? What a unchallenging way to live, right? Not a real way to live, right? I would say. Yes, to the two of them, that was a small and complete universe. I mean, you can apply this to current world events. A lot of people want to live in a world where like people's feelings aren't hurt. You know, people can say things and be quote unquote held accountable for them, even if they said them 10 years on Twitter, 10 years ago on Twitter. Like, that's not the way I would live. Like, you should be able to have freedom to say whatever you want and not worry about somebody getting their feelings hurt and saying, oh, I'm offended. You know what, my reaction to somebody saying I'm offended, I would say, who the fuck cares, right? Does that affect me at all? It's affecting you because you're making it something that in your mind, in your mental capacity, you're getting offended by it. It doesn't mean a damn thing, it's words. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But you're letting words hurt you, so that's your damn fault, right? I mean, I'm sorry. Don't let words hurt you guys, because then you'll be a prisoner of your own mind at that point. Like, why would you let somebody fucking have that power over you? I'm sorry, that's a fucking flaw in your thinking, not mine. So don't try to push that shit on me. That you got hurt by what I said, you know? That means you're fucking weak-willed. You need to fucking come correct with yourself. Tighten it up! Tighten it up! Guys.
私たちはあんたが戻ってこなきゃゲームが進まないの。わらわは飽きたからやめたけど、もうゲームには戻らない。
She's a quitter, so she's not tightening up. She gotta tighten it up.
ベアとはね、ずっとここでマリアと一緒にいるの。
Ain't nobody want to spend that much time with you, Maria. Come on now.
ここで一緒にお茶を飲んでね。
It'll be fun to spend with about 4 hours, and then everybody's gonna be tired of you. Come on now.
エンジも一緒に遊んでいいの？
Fuck that.
マリア、
Maria, shut the fuck up.
それはならぬと言ったはず。わらわにはそなただけがいればよい。だからそなたもわらわだけがいればよい。
ありがとう。マリアをそこまで必要としてくれる人はベアとだけだよ。ならベアとが一緒にいる。二人きりでいい。
マリア、すまぬ。ありがとう。
Beato held Maria tight, even creating a small, warm universe within their joined arms. It was probably the birth of the smallest universe in the world. The smallest universe in the world which a pair who needed each other could create. No matter how small it was, that world was complete. But I have to tear it apart. My bare hands.
悪いけど、そういうわけにはいかないの。私はこのマリアージュ・ソルシエルの黄金鏡をぶっ壊しにやってきたわ。
Now look at what she says here. Smash this golden land of Maria Sorcieri. What were we always trying to get to with the Twilights, with the killing ceremony, the fucking rituals? Trying to get to the golden land, right? How does that exist? Because of the Maria Sorcieri. When Maria and when Beatrice believe that it's true after the killings happened, right? Who was it who wrote all those messages in the bottle? Quote unquote Maria Ushiramia, right? And that's why it was Maria's name on those bottles, because part of the Mariage Sorcieri is that Maria is the accomplice of Beatrice, the person dressing up as Beatrice, and them two together create this golden land, basically. When they work together to kill these Ushiria bastards that ruined both of their lives, right? It creates a golden land after the fact that they're dead. Creates a best case scenario of where they can live happily ever after. That's pretty much where magic exists. Where everything that they didn't have to deal with in life exists. So that's what that means, basically. It's a direct clue that this is what that means, and Maria is an accomplice. If you hadn't gotten that yet. We're getting some answers. It's not even the answer arcs yet, guys. Not even the answer arcs yet. We'll get to that later. It's still episode 4.
この世界がわらわとマリア以外の誰に迷惑をかけたというのか。
She's talking about the golden land right there.
あんたが初めて終わらせずにほったらかしたゲームでお兄ちゃんがずっと待たされてる。あんたが席に戻らなくちゃ勝負は永遠に終わらないのよ。
And that's really why Angie's having a problem with this shit. Beatrice last I should say installment of my stream, she gave up. Battler's there just fucking with the dick in his hand, you know, just standing there like, oh, well fuck, I thought we were gonna have a debate, but this motherfucking witch just left. And she's like, well, we're not gonna have a fucking end to this fucking, we're not gonna have a conclusion here, because I'm just gonna leave. I don't want this game to end, so fuck you, bye. That's what she said, basically. And the sister of Battler is like, fuck you. You can't leave my brother like that. You can't do him like that. It ain't gonna happen like that. So she's trying to convince her to come back to the game. Get back in the game, girl.
あのゲームにもはやプレイヤーが一人もおらぬ。バトルが消え去る。わらわもまた消え去る。ここは
So Battler vanished because she made a little wordplay trick. She revealed that he is not the son of Usumu Ushiromiya, who is Rudolph Ushiromiya's first wife. And basically, he's the bastard child that Rudolph never told him about, basically. So we assume that Kyrie is his actual mother, which makes Angie his literal biological sister, not just the half-sister. But they show her mother now. We think that Kyrie is the mother, but we don't know yet. Like, we haven't gotten that information yet. But we know for a fact that Asumu is not the mother. That the mother that he like left the family for 6 years ago is not his actual mother. So like, basically it was pointless what he did 6 years ago.
終わってない。あんたの始めたゲームでしょ。最後まできっちり責任を持って終わらせなさい。バトラーを打ち負かし、あなたが本当に望んだ世界を生み出すか、あなたが打ち負かされ、あなたの魔法に飲み込まれた全てを解放するか、しっかり最後まで責任を取りなさい。
ダメだよ、エンジ。
Careful, Angie. Be careful.
ベアとはこの世界でマリアと永遠に二人きりで過ごすの。マリアもベアとさえいれば他には何もいらないの。ここでは全ての願いが叶う。全てがある。
The Golden Land is made up of nothing more than the crystallization of Maria Onechan and Beatrice's thoughts and feelings. To drag Beato out of this world, I have to destroy it. Destroy this Golden Land, which must be the final world of peace for Beatrice.
お姉ちゃん、それは違う。この黄金鏡は嘘つきだ。お姉ちゃんの本当に叶えたい願いを叶えてくれていない。
Oh, Sakatawa time. She's got a trump card. Remember, she was able to resurrect Sakutaro with the knowledge that she knows from 1998 that Sakutaro is not one of a kind. Sakutaro is a mass-produced fucking assembly line plushie that Rosa's company makes, and it's not a unique thing that Maria's mother Rosa made on a whim, on a fucking random whim. No, it's a fucking mass-produced fucking toy that Angie has one of the copies of, so she can actually resurrect Sakutaro for Maria right now. So that's how she's gonna get Maria to come around to her side. Let's watch.
そんなことないよ。ここでは何でも叶うの。見て、ここには優しいママだっている。
Her fake mama, because she was never nice, right? Gold butterflies gather behind Maria, forming into a kindly smiling fake ass Aunt Rosa, who's a fake ass. After smiling sweetly at me like a fake bitch, she softly became golden petals and crumbled like a fake bitch she is. Because she can't hold that smile, but she's
こ
fake.
こでは何だって生み出せるの。エンジだって生み出せるよ。バトラだって、ジョージお兄ちゃんだって、ジェシカお姉ちゃんだって。いくらでも呼び出せるよ。みんな優しくしてくれるよ。
She's fake.
エンジもおいでよ。一緒に遊ぼう。
Come on, Maria. Come on, Maria. You know better than that, Maria. Sorry, One-chan.
作太郎。
Exactly. There you go. Upon hearing Sakutaro's name, One-chan's face looked like she was choking.
口にするな。
Sakutaro, 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 Succotash! Suffering Succotash! It's just like Roman Reigns says. Beato's expression has changed at all as well. And she put her arm around Maria, hugging her as to protect her. Sakutaro's name was still too taboo for One-chan.
どうして口にしちゃいけないの？
Why?
マリアお姉ちゃんの一番の親友の名前を。
Why?
どうしてその親友をこの素敵な黄金鏡に招いてあげないの？
Why?
どうしてこの何でも願いの叶う黄金鏡では作太郎だけ呼び出すことができないの？
Why?
それは良いのだぞマリア。作太郎のことを思い出さなくても。
作太郎は
Too late now.
殺されたんだよ。
Too late now. Thought you had a nice mama. What the hell happened? What happened to that? Rio Onechan flew into a rage with a terrible expression on her face. Surprised by that voice, butterflies flew up throughout the garden, blowing around like a typhoon of flower petals.
ええ、知ってるわ。ローザおばさん。
I know, I know, I
大切な作太郎
know.
のぬいぐるみを。
Sakotaro ain't the nigga he say he is. Just know that I know, I know. I'm black, by the way, so I can say that in word. Don't report me. Sakotaro ain't the ninja he said he is. There we go, there we go, there we go. Warrior's scream became a storm and violently scattered the golden petals and leaves. It was truly a storm of gold!
やめよやめよやめよやめよなぜマリアの心の傷を再び引き裂こうとするのか
Maria is in all caps because she's a witch.
わらわとマリアの大切な親友の眠りを汚す
Not
な
sure why she's not in all caps there, but she should be.
ならどうしてその大切な親友をあなたの魔法で蘇らせてあ
She
げない
can't do it! Well, there's a reason. Like, it's not because that Angie is more powerful than Beatrice, as far as witches go, as far as witchcraft goes. Because Beatrice is pretty damn powerful, right? It's because she's from 1998, and she has the information that Sakotaro is still alive in mass-produced form in 1998. But Beatrice in 86, 87, 86. She has no idea that Sakotaro is actually mass-produced fucking plushie. At that point, she thinks it's only a fucking once-in-a-lifetime, one-time deal that Rosa made on a whim, and that he could never be revived. But that's wrong information, basically. So that's something she would never know about, because apparently, we don't know if this is true, but apparently she did die with everybody else who died on the island. We don't know if that's true or not. We don't know if Eva is actually Beatrice, and if so, obviously Beatrice did not die because Eva lives until 1998. But apparently, Eva is not Beatrice, so we don't know. We don't know when she died, but we know she died before this knowledge that Angie had occurred, because she has no idea that Sakotaro is still alive. See, she says, "What if I could?" She doesn't know the information from 1998, so we can assume at that point. She says that this is not Eva who's dressing up as Beatrice. We can assume it's somebody that actually died on the island. We can assume that somebody that doesn't know about Sakotaro being, mass-produced.
しかしあのぬいぐるみはローザによる手作りの品
Do you see it?
そのたった一つが引き裂かれた魔法的意味はごまかさないよどうして作太郎が蘇らせられないか答えは一つだもんあなたが本当の魔女じゃないから蘇らせられるとわらわの魔法でいくらでもこうして蘇らせられると
Prove it.
作太郎でこの庭園を埋めることだってできようぞええできるでしょうねでもあなたの生み出した作太郎は決してお姉ちゃんには見えないどうしてか分かってるでしょもう一度言うわあなたが本当の魔女でないからなのよ
どうしてエンジはそんなひどいことばかり言うのベアとはたくさん魔法が使えるよとても素敵な魔女なんだよ作太郎だけは蘇らせられなかったけど他のことなら何だってできるのだから作太郎だけは我慢できるの
お姉ちゃん魔女にできないことなんてないのそれができない時点でベアトリーチェは本当の魔女じゃない、
それは違うよ作太郎のよりしろのぬいぐるみはママの手作りの特別なものだから
You got wrong information, girl.
だから蘇らせられないのベアトリーチェもあなたの魔法はそんなにも不便なの
So she's not gonna tell her that Sakotaro is a fucking mass-produced thing, Because one, that's gonna like throw shade on Rosa, her mother. Two, she wants it to make it seem like she's more magical than Beatrice, to convince Maria to like eliminate the Maria Sorcieri and put Beatrice in the fucking corner to where she has to continue the game, basically. But she can't hide out with Maria at that point. So she's trying to get Maria on her side, and so she doesn't want to tell her the truth about, oh, this is Secretarial's not really a fucking once in a lifetime fucking thing. It makes it seem more magical, basically. That's what you want. There you go. That's the line that Angie wanted her to say. So now we can go ahead and revive Sakutaro in front of her and say, you're a fake ass witch, fake ass bitch. You can't revive this motherfucking one plushie. You suck. Hell yes you can.
できるわ。マリアお姉ちゃん、私が本当の魔法を見せてあげるわ。
She said it.
私がサク太郎を蘇らせてあげる。
本当？ベアトリーチェもできなかったんだよ。
Beatrice's not fucking a real witch, so that's fine.
本当に？
できるわ。その代わり約束して、私がサク太郎を蘇らせてあげたなら、この黄金鏡から出ていきなさい。
That's what she wants.
そんなことは許さない。ここはわらわのマリアの世界。マリアがいなくなったら壊れてしまう。
That's right. You need two people. Yeah, there you go. The minimum amount of humans that it takes to create a universe is 2. That breaks down the world's story. To drag out the witch who shut herself away in the Golden Land, I have to destroy this world!
そう。それこそがあなたが魔女でない証拠よ。
This is the entire reason why Beatrice wants Battler to acknowledge her as a witch, because it takes 2 people. Without love it can't be seen, all that jazz. Without another person to acknowledge you, the magic is not real. So, since Maria thinks magic is real, and Beatrice is her, like, magical instructor, I guess, their world's real right now. Their golden land is real. But, Angie's about to break that shit up.
本当の魔女なの。
Do some quick work tonight.
宇宙マリアージュ・ソルシエル魔女同盟。この同盟の存在自体があなたが魔女でないことの証になっている。嫌だ。マリアは渡さぬ。そなたは嫌いだ。今すぐに帰れ。勝手にみんなをゲームに引きずり込んでおいて、自分は機嫌一つで飽きたり追い出したり。
Exactly.
なんて自分勝手なの。見なさい、ベアトリーチェ。そしてマリアお姉ちゃん、これが本当の魔法なのよ。
本当にサク太郎を蘇らせられるの？
できるわけがない。ここはわらわとマリア2人だけの黄金鏡。部外者のそなたに使える魔法など一つもない。今のそなたには超一匹生み出すことさえ叶わぬわ。
No, we'll see about that.
静かにしてベアト。
Shut your ass up.
返事を邪魔しないで。
Shut your ass up. Trying to get my boy Sakataro back. Shut your ass up, girl. Let her do this shit. Maria yelled. The storm abruptly stopped and the area returned to silence. As the massive amount of golden petals that had been blown upwards quietly drifted down, that scene looked so fantastical as though golden snow was falling. Maria, thinking about this unlikely, if only, miracle, unconsciously joined her hands together as though praying. Please, Takataro, please! Beato's heart raced as she watched Maria do this. If the extremely unlikely were to happen, Maria would. This world would. But it's inconceivable! An absolute impossibility! That stuffed animal, the only one of its kind in the world, was torn apart and thrown away, and not a thread remained. Reviving it is an absolute certain impossibility. This is my golden land. A world where magic that isn't mine certainly could not exist.
できるものならやってみろ後ろ宮エンジ
So confirmation, she actually does know Angie's name. She kept calling her Gretel in the meta world, but she doesn't know who Angie is because she was always part of the Mariage Sorciere. Just the three of these ladies, Angie, Maria, and Beatrice. It's funny that Angie doesn't remember who Beatrice is from back in the day, even though she met her. She met whoever the person is dressing up as Beatrice is. That's a fact. But, you know, she was 5 years old, so she doesn't remember who she was. So, go fig. That Beato screamed, the world lost its sound. Out of sight, out of mind, out of sound, out of mind. I slowly recited the incantation for true magic. Not fake gas magic. Like Beato does.
思い出してごらんなさい
There we go.
マリアの親友の作太郎
Close your eyes, guys.
あなたがどんな姿をしていたのか
Try to remember, close your eyes.
思い出してごらんなさい
Remember that little
あな
hook
た
tail.
がどんなに愛くるしいぬいぐるみだったのか
Mm-hmm. The bull's hook. Don't open your eyes. Don't, not yet. Now you can open your eyes. Expressions of shock rose to both of their faces. Then, pushing Beato's elbow aside, Maria dashed forward. It's Sakatara! Sakatara!
サクタロ
Then, she threw her arms around him and me both. That's right.
大丈夫
You better hug me.
作太郎は消えないよ
Who's the man? Who's the man? Angie's the man. And Becky Lynch, but Angie too. They're both redheads. It's all good. They're both redheads. Angie and Becky Lynch are the man.
ウリュウ
Who do you?
マリアただいま
Who do you?
サクタロサクタロ
Ori! 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 Yes, happy Halloween, guys. It's almost official. Two more hours, and it's Halloween. 2 more hours. We ain't there yet. It was unmistakably that lion, that Sakutaro stuffed animal. Maria had forgotten its softness, its texture, its stitches. It's everything. But the instant she hugged the stuffed animal, everything came back to her vividly. That's called magic, baby.
ウリュウ
Who do you?
マリアただいまサクタロサクタロ体は平気なのどこも痛くないあんなにひどいことされたのにどこも平気なの
So it's a good thing that I told you guys about that short story, last installment, and about pretty much what Angie saw in that shop. Because otherwise, you kind of would miss out on a lot of shit behind the scenes, right? Like Angie didn't just do this shit out the drop of her hat, right? She doesn't have, incredible magic out of the fucking crack of her ass. She didn't pull this shit out of her ass, basically, right? Like it's explained in the story. Like she saw the fucking stuffed animal in the shop, in the futon shop. So that's the only reason why she can revive this motherfucker. And it's a lucky fucking miracle, basically, that I would say Burke Castile the Witch set up to have happened. So it's not a fucking coincidence at all. It's definitely something that's been explained in the storyline. It's not a fucking ass pull. But a lot of people would have said this is an ass pull thing that happened, only because somehow Angie's got some magical power that's surpassing Beatrice all of a sudden, right? She can revive Sakutaro. No. It's because she has more knowledge from 1998. That's literally the only reason why Sakataro's still alive now. Because of 1998's knowledge. It's not magic, it's fucking knowledge. So, I hope you guys got that. And it's gonna turn the tide of the battle in episode 4. What are you? Odi!
エンジェが魔法で蘇らせてくれたから全然平気なの。
With knowledge.
よかったよかった。おかえりサクタロ。もうマリアといつまでも一緒だよ。永遠に一緒だよ。だから僕を離さないでね。
Nice.
離さないよ。
That's good for Angie right there. She set out to do this to like repent for what she said to Maria back in the day. Oh, magic's not real. Oh, you're a fucking idiot, thinking that fucking this goddamn dropping candy from the sky shit's gonna be real. You fucking dumbass. Why are you a baby? And then that fucking made Maria go, you know, balls to the wall crazy. It helped Maria go balls to the wall crazy. Like, it wasn't just Angie, it was fucking Rosa, you know, ripping off the fucking head of Hakutaro like a fucking maniac in front of a goddamn social worker. That's gonna be, you know, the scarring of their life right there. But Angie didn't help, right? Angie was like, oh, you're a baby, you're fucking believing in magic. You need to stop that shit. So, she definitely made up for it. Unfortunately, had to happen after the fact Maria died. You know, after she's in the fucking meta world. But, I mean, better late than never, right? It still happened. So, I'll give you points for that. Half points, but still points. Then, still hugging Sakataro, she looked up at me with tear-filled eyes.
ありがとう、エン
Better
ジェ。
pay me, baby. Better pay me.
エンジェの魔法はすごい。どうしてサクタロウを蘇らせることができたの？
Don't tell her.
ベアトにもできなかったのに。
You throw shade at Beato because she doesn't have knowledge. That's what you do in this scenario. Get Maria on your side with quote-unquote real magic, even though it's based on knowledge and facts. That's why Beatrice couldn't revive Sakutaro. She didn't have the facts, she didn't have the knowledge. And throw shade at her ass, right? You're trying to get her to fucking jump back in on that battle with Battler. So don't tell her the reason. Don't tell her. You ain't even. Gotta tell her. You ain't even.
どうしてわらわの黄金鏡でわらわ以外の人間が魔法を使えるのか。
Because it's not magic, bitch.
こんなことは断じてありえぬ。
It's knowledge.
何をうろたえているのよ、ベアトリーチェ。これが魔法でしょ。
Oh.
魔法のわけがない。ここはわらわの黄金鏡。わらわ以外の魔法は絶対に存在できない世界。
It's in red, but it's, you know, it's not being negated. She used knowledge. She didn't use magic.
そしてわらわの魔法でサクタロウを蘇らせることはできなかった。
That's because a lie couldn't revive her. A lie could never revive Sakutaro, but the truth, the real truth could. The truth that he's alive in 1998, that he's a fucking mass-produced toy, that definitely could revive him. So, it's a different story.
できるはずがないのだ。そのローザが娘の誕生日のために作った世界でたった一つの。
Oh, see? She tried to say that it's only one of its kind and... Oops. It's not true. She can't say it.
ね、
She can't say it.
魔法でしょ。
Oh, she's crying. Look at that. She's crying. So I think Beatrice knows what the reason is now. Because she tried to say that shit in red, that it was one of a kind, and she can't say it. Just like Valerie couldn't say that he's Asumu's son. So she knows now, and she's fucking feeling some kind of way right now. Yeah, she knows. She knows! She knows! She knows. With this miracle that she could not possibly accept, Beato understood all of my magic. She understood. So she knows exactly what's happening now. And she looked at Maria, and Sakutaro instantly frolicking around, looked at me, and then fell to her knees with her heads pressed to the ground and cried. Yep, she's not taking away that happiness from Maria at this point, but she knows that Rose is the bitch and fucking said and lied that Sakutaro is one of a kind and he's not. So that's why she can't say anything to Maria, just like Andy's not saying anything. She falls to her knees out of fucking hopelessness, basically. This is great storytelling, guys. Like, I gotta explain this to you every time there's another like line, because otherwise you wouldn't get it. I mean, you might get it, but if it's your first time playing through this game, you wouldn't get it, basically. So that's why I'm explaining a lot of this shit. It's great shit. It's good shit! She's trying to hold it together. Look at that shit. Gotta hold it together, baby. See, now she changed her tune. So you see how that happens, right, guys? She's saying it's true magic. Before she's like, you can't have this magic in my realm because no other magic can exist. It's not magic. It's true knowledge. So that's why she's saying, it's magic. It's true magic. She doesn't want Maria to know what the real reason is. That her mother's a fucking dipshit and fucking lied to her like a fucking bitch. So now Maria believes that Angie's a fucking actual witch, which is not really. She just has more knowledge. But that belief, remember, it takes two people to believe, and that becomes a new universe. So if Angie and Maria both believe that Angie's a witch, it's gonna be a true thing now. So we'll see what happens there. There we go. So now Maria believes that she's the witch of resurrection. It's gonna happen. It's gonna be law. That's law. It's easy for Angie. At that moment, Maria and Sakutaro's forms flashed gold, and the two became golden flower petals and crumbled away. The two became golden wind and swirled together. They left for some other place of peace. Beato had promised to banish Maria from the Golden Land. There we go. No place to hide yet.
Sayonara, Maria お姉ちゃん。そしていつまでもお幸せに。大丈夫よ。お姉ちゃんの世界にも必ずあなたはいるわ。でもそれはあなたのことじゃない。よかったな、ママ。わらわはそなたの親友として。
I mean, at least she's happy for Maria. I mean, that's good. On Beato's face was a mixture of what was probably every expression a human could muster. That expression was joy, anger, sadness.
それが魔法の根源よね。愛がなければ、悲しみがなければ、怒りがなければ、魔法は見えない。
Yep, and yep. Cannot be seen. Andy knows now. Andy knows the secret to magic. The ground shook! An earthquake! It gradually caused greater and greater fissures and began to tear Beatrice's final paradise apart. The old man's done now. Golden butterflies fluttered about, trying to escape, but there was nowhere to escape to. Well, for Beatrice, Beatrice, the golden land began to crumble away. The earth came way like a floor falling through, and Beatrice was sucked into the depths of a jet black darkness. Back into the meta world, then she was mercilessly slammed against the jet black floor. It was a small, nondescript, and very dimly lit smoking room. There was no door to exit by, and while there was no windows, where there were windows, sorry, they let no light into this place. Beatrice's smoking room? Let's light up a cigarette, guys. Yes. Even as Beato moaned from the pain of being slammed against the cold, hard floor, she shakily rose to her feet. A seat was there, and the game table, still just as it has been when she left it. The game board, too, was preserved in the same state in which Beato had abandoned it.
そこがあなたの席よ。
Sit your ass down!
座りなさい。
Sit your ass down!
わらわに座るべき席は
Right.
ここしかない。
Get your park your ass. Park your ass down. This is Park Place, baby. Park Place. Get your boardwalk up in that ass seat. Beato put a hand against her own seat and laughed sadly.
勝つか負けるか、あなたに与えられるのはそれだけよ。それに行き着く過程での引き分けはでも中断して投げ出すことだけは許さない。勝って生き残るか負けて消え去るか、
Yep.
そのどちらかになるまであなたはその席を立つことなんて許されない。
Yep. What it do?
それが魔女のゲームのホストである黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェの唯一の務めでしょ。
Exactly. Laughing weakly, Beato sat down. Then she rested her elbows on the table, covered her face with both hands, and managed to put together a smile with just her mouth.
勝てぬゲームを逃げることは許されぬか。ならばよかろう。
Well, Beato knows that she's about to lose at this point. If Battler gets out of the logic error he's in right now, that he thinks he's not Ushiromiya, Rudolph's son, which is not the case. He's actually Rudolph's son, but he's not Asunu's son. That's the only difference. If he can get out of that, there's no way that he can lose, basically.
何よ気弱な。勝ちなさいよ。あなたの最善手を尽くしなさい。
Wow. She's not exactly on Battler's side. She's like, you better fucking try to win, bitch. Right? I like that.
あなたが始めたゲーム。あなたには最善手を指す義務がある。
Nice.
いい加減に優柔不断にふざけるの
Well,
は
she
やめて。
is on the payroll of Lambda Delta at this point. Trying to like make this fucking thing last forever. Just then there was a heavy sound. Beato felt a cold and pitiful sensation in her leg. There's Lambda Delta.
やっと捕まえたわよ。
Speak of the devil,
ベアト
of the Halloween devil. Look at that. Look at that. See the Jack Lantern guys? There. Bam.
大ラムダデルタ教ではなく、まだおられたと。
Happy Halloween, Lambda Delta! Beato's foot was locked in an ice-cold steel shackle, fastening her to the chair she sat in. She could no longer be able to escape from that seat.
もう逃げられないんだからね。私こう見えてもしつこいの。意外でしょ。
自覚がなかった方が意外であるわ。
あんたには中座も中断も許されてないのよ。永遠に戦うのよ。勝つためにね。負けたくはないでしょ。負けたらどんな素敵な世界に叩き落とされるかちょっぴりだけ覗いてみたい。大丈夫よ。勝てるわよ。この大ラムダデルタ教があんたが勝つまでつきっきりで永遠に面倒を見てあげるから。
Oh, how nice. It's great to have patrons, right?
戦いたくてもわらわの向かいに対戦相手はおらぬぞ。大丈夫よ。バトラーを見つけてきた。
When Burke Castell appeared and clapped her hands, Battler appeared from the sky and popped into the opposite chair. Battler's eyes were slightly open, but there was no sparkle in them, almost like a doll. Without the one pillar that established his soul, he had fallen through the very depths of darkness, and had been drifting about all this time. By rights, he should have dispersed and vanished like mist. Brooke and Stella had managed to scrape them together. It's almost surprising that she had managed to bring him back into a human form. However, even though his body had returned, his soul's not. It had been blown away when its existence was denied by Beatrice. It wouldn't come back easily.
バトルはこの戦いを逃げないあんたに勝つまでね。勝ち目がなくなってきたから全て投げ出して逃げるなんてそんな愚粋を許しはしない。彼だってそんなことを望んではいないわでしょ。後ろ宮バトル。
Battler didn't answer. His heart was still dead. I guess this is Brooke is still talking, right? So let's pick out my Dolly Parton voice here. His eyes wavered slightly at the question, but he couldn't answer.
バトラー、しっかり。あなたはここにいるわよ。そして敵は目の前にいる。戦って勝つために。
Battler lazily and incoherently parroted her words. He was back. But the trauma inflicted on the soul was no small thing. That was only natural. Beatrice had woven her red, and he had been denied. He had learned that the mother he had respected was not his birth mother, and he didn't know who he was.
自分は後ろ宮バトラではない。
That's not true.
バカなこと言ってんじゃないわ。あんたは他の誰でもない後ろ宮バトラよ。誰が認めようと否定しようとあなたがそれを信じなさい。あなたの世界はね、あなただけが作れるのよ。
Great line right there. Great line right there, guys. Listen, learn, and live it.
あなたが後ろ宮バトラである世界を失わないで。
じゃあ俺は誰なんだよ。
Battler, bitch.
他の子じゃないんだぜ。俺はどこから生
What
ま
the
れ
fuck
て
does
き
it
た。
matter, dude? What the fuck does it matter? Battler asked while gazing lazily up at the ceiling, with eyes that still hadn't regained their sparkle. Of course, she answered right away.
ええ、そうね。レアトが赤き真実で宣言したわ。だから私も宣言する。後ろ宮バトラは後ろ宮アスミの息子ではないわ。なれば我がゲームの対戦相手に仕方はない。ベアトリーチェに復唱要求。後ろ宮バトラは後ろ宮金蔵の孫ではない。
As Beata wrinkled her forehead, a pained smile rose to her face.
復唱拒否ね。レアトが宣言した2つのバトラはアスムの息子では、そして金蔵の孫であるバトラにしか対戦相手の資格がない。これに矛盾せずにバトラに資格を認められるのは以下のこれが私の青き真実。
This is like common
対戦相
sense.
手の資格は金蔵の孫である後ろ宮バトラであって、
I don't know why Battler couldn't figure this out himself. It's common sense, right?
アスムの息子であるか否かは問題ではない。
Adoyi! You're still Rudolph's son. Adoyi!
すなわちあなたはアスムの息子でなくても金蔵の孫であることはできる。ルドルフの息子でさえあるならば。
Exactly. How does he not see that shit? He's dumb. Let me go ahead and say it real quick. Oops. That was close. Almost fucking loaded. There you go.
くだらない言葉遊びよね。
青き真実、夢やと赤き真実での反論は赤き真実で受けられないならバトラの対戦資格は何。
Battler was still Alvin. He couldn't really understand what she was saying for him. Even so, his spirit was starting to come back bit by bit.
じゃあ俺は誰なんだよ。
しっかりなさい。あんたは後ろ宮バトラ。確かにアスムお母さんがあなたを産んだわけではないかもしれない。でもだから何？あなたにとって母親であることに何も変わりはないでしょ。例えば あなたにとって後ろ宮エンジェは何？
Ooh, trick question.
血は繋がってないかもしれないけど、
She's asking about
それでも
herself as
妹でし
Gretel.
ょ？血じゃないでしょ？絆でしょ？
そりゃそうさ、エンジェは血が繋がってなくても妹だ。
Well, you do share the same blood, actually. You both have the same mother and father, so that was a moot point right there.
赤で言って、エンジェは妹だって言って。
エンジェは俺の妹だ。
She hugged Battler was still out of it and slumped in his chair, strongly from behind. So strongly that it hurt.
どういう事情でアスムお母さんがあなたの生みのお母さんじゃないかはわからない。でもあなたは今日まで、そして今でも母親だと信じてるでしょ。世の中にはね、母親さえ家族さえいない人だって大勢いるのよ。アスムお母さんはあなたを寂しがらせたことがある？ないでしょ。あなたの平和だった家族を簡単に捨て去らないで。あんたは6年も家族の元から離れてたから、家族の絆が希薄すぎるのよ。もっともっと家族の絆を強く感じて、
Nice.
思い出して。アスムお母さんのためにも、こんなくだらない魔女の妄言で愛情を失わないで。
そうさ、おふくろはいつだって
As they typically are.
ここはどこだよ。くれよ、俺の家族は、みんなはどこなんだよ。
The light still hadn't returned to Battler's eyes, but tears formed there.
お家であなたの妹が帰りを待ってるわ。せめてあなただけでも帰ってあげないと。妹のためにもどうか魔女のゲームに勝って。
エンジェ、俺の妹。でもよ、わからねえんだ。どうして俺はベアトとこんなわけのわかんねえ残酷なゲームを永遠に繰り返さなきゃならねえんだ。
That's a good question. We really haven't asked this question yet in the entire game. Why is this guy repeating this incomprehensible, cruel game with Beato forever, quote unquote, right? Good question. Is he dead? Is Battler dead? And that's why he's repeating this shit? If he's dead, what point does it make that Angie's back here in 1988 trying to figure out how to get him out here? He's already dead, right? Whatever happens, happens, right? Is he able to change the fucking past? Is Burka Steel's powers? Doesn't that admit that witches are a thing? Right? If she admits that Lambda Delta and Burka Steel are real, and that they can change the future or the past? If they can't change the future or the past, why is he repeating this incomprehensible, cruel game with Beato forever? What's the point? Keep going on.
もう嫌だ。
なら早くこんなゲームに決着をつけてお家へ帰りなさい。後ろ宮バトラー、いつまでこんなところで遊んでいるの。妹が帰りを待ってるわよ。
That's right! Battler was caught up in this strange game before he even knew it. And unable to understand what he was fighting for, he was taken along with the witch's pace, toyed with, and made to fight for a very long time. That should have been the simplest and first question. Not understanding why is why he loses his purpose for fighting. And that because he's a dumbass too. It's why my voice doesn't reach his ears! What he needs is not some vague purpose like winning against the witch or because she's unforgivable. He needs to become aware of a purpose for which he must win. Uh-oh. She's gonna tell Battler that she's his sister. And that's a no-no. Don't do that. Don't do that. Come on, Angie. You know better than that.
帰りたい、親父やおふくろ。もう嫌だ。ここは嫌だ。もう魔女は嫌だ。
He's gonna do
ゲ
it.
ームも冊子も嫌だ。嫌だ。嫌だ。
No more witches and demons and murderers. Oh my!
バトラの魂が踊りかけてる。
でも
あとちょっとが届いた。
もう嫌でしょ。なら家族の元へ帰るためにも戦ってメアドリーチェを打ち破って帰ってきて。
嫌だ。
Don't be a
もう
puss.
魔女は嫌だ。
Come on, Battler.
ベアトも嫌だ。どいつもこいつも嫌だ。お前も嫌だ。お前だってどうせきっと魔女の仲間だ。
Don't be a George. That's what George would say.
いつまた裏切るかもわからない。何も信用できない。赤くない言葉は何も信用できない。俺に構うな。構うな。
This guy went full George. He went full dick. Alright. Battler so howled. She hugged his head from behind so tightly that it hurt.
早く帰ってきて、お兄ちゃん。
This guy, he made his fucking sister pretty much destroy herself at this point. She's not allowed to say that she is Angie. Once she says that she's Angie, she's removed from the game field basically. So now she's gone. Cause this asshole. Cause of this George-like asshole.
私を一人ぼっちにしないで。
お前、
She's Angie, you idiot! You idiot!
私よ、エンジェよ。
Idiot?
お父さんもお母さんもお兄ちゃんも誰も帰ってこない。寂しいよ。お願いだから早く帰ってきて。
It's all in ruin because it's all true. All true.
エンジお前、エンジ
そうよ、エンジェよ。誰も帰ってこない世界の後宮エンジェ。私の家族は全てあの日の六軒島から帰ってこない。目の前のあの魔女が家族を全て、お兄ちゃんさえも奪い取ってしまった。お兄ちゃんだけがあいつをやっつけられる。
That's true too.
あいつをやっつけて、
I don't know why that's true, but I guess so.
そして家族を取り戻して、そして私のところに帰ってきて。
ベアトは俺の家族。
そうと
Let's go.
逃げも隠れもせぬわらわが後宮エンジェからバトラはわらわの玩具。その父親も母親もすべて玩具。そなたには返さぬ。永遠に一人ぼっちで帰らぬ家族の帰りを待ってさまよい続けるがいい。
From Angie's arms that held him, the very painful, sad, and lonely days that his little sister left all alone had gone through flowed into Battler. Because he had been playing around in a place like this, his little sister had been left all alone and had been forced to endure such painful days.
エンジエンジ
Angie!
くそ。俺は
Being a dipshit like George.
言ってたんだ。
That's what you've been doing, dog.
ありがとうなエンジ。お兄ちゃんは大切なことをずっと忘れていた。
Battler tried to turn around, but Angie was clutching his head with an incredible force, so he couldn't. Sweat? Sweat, baby, sweat, baby. Hot drops splashed the back of Battler's neck. What they were, he discovered by holding Andy's arm as she clung to him. Because to stay in Battler's hand, his fingers were red! Yes, bud. Told you! Angie can't accept that and still live
エンジ
in this game world.
大丈夫か。
She's not alright.
おい。
It dripped and splashed. He didn't know what was going on, but Battler couldn't tell for sure because he couldn't turn around. But the hot drops, staining its entire back were surely blood.
お兄ちゃんを助
けるために唯一守らなきゃいけないルールがあったの。それがこれ、お兄ちゃんに私が演者だと知られてしまうこと。辛かったよ。お兄ちゃんが目の前にいるのにそれを口にできないなんて。このルールさえ守ればずっと永遠にお兄ちゃんのそばにいられるはずだった。
Too bad he was being a dipshit about 5 minutes ago.
お兄ちゃんと一緒に魔女と戦うゲームを永遠に遊べるはずだった。でもそれじゃダメ。お兄ちゃんは帰らなきゃ。お家であなたの妹が待っているもの。父親は私のことではないけれど、それであなたの妹は救われる。
What she means here is, she's from 1998. This battler is from 1986. So the sister that he's familiar with is from 1986, 12 years ago. So the 1998 version is dying right now in this alternate future that she's from. But she's trying to save the relationship of the 1986 version. The one that's from 1986, that's 5 years old, so.
エンジェエンジェ こんなに違う。こんなに
He wanted to turn around, but he couldn't because of how tightly Angie was gripping his head. However, judging by the blood that was pouring out of Angie's pain breathing, he realized that something seriously wrong was happening to her right now. Fucking split in twain, dude. He's split in twain!
私は所詮駒だから。
She's in 2 pieces, actually.
ジェスネはね、サクリファイス。
Sacrifice!
サクリなんだって。そんなことはどうでもいい。早く手当てを。
That ain't gonna work, dog.
この手を一度離す
We're
んだ。
better than that.
エンジェ
Ain't gonna work,
サク
dog.
リファイス
Sacrifice.
戦略的展望のためにわざと損を承知で駒を見捨てること
The ultimate goal in chess is the victory against the opponent. So sacrificing a few individual pieces is no problem if that can bring you to a victory in the end. Angie had made a level-headed decision. She had been told over and over again that she was a piece, not a player. In order to act like a piece and save Battler right now, she herself needed to become a sacrificial piece. Battler had to be made aware. His purpose in playing the Switch's game must not be something abstract like finishing off the witch. He needs to win the game, he needs to release himself, he needs to bring his family back home. Bring me home, country roads, back to where I belong! Why? Because he has a family, a little sister, waiting for him to come home. Country roads are being created to bring Ushiomi Andy's voice to him. That goes country roads. That is who Angie Beatrice is. Who am I? Be careful. Who am I? I'm your devil. I will use the piece I am as a sacrifice. To give Oni-chan the will to fight. To give him purpose. To bring him back to my country home. Oni-chan, my purpose is not to play with you in the witch's game for all eternity. Hell no. I can bring you Ushiomi Angie's morning in sadness. That is my unshakable purpose. Bitch. Run it. Angie. Angie. The white skinny arm holding Battler was pale and transparent, almost like wax. It was stained so cruelly with fresh blood.
私はもう消えちゃうけれど、お兄ちゃんは頑張って戦うので、きっと私のところへ帰ってきてね。
Damn, Angie.
待ってるよ。
Damn.
お兄ちゃんをもっといっぱい手助けしてあげるつもりだったのに何もできなかった。ごめんね。
いいんだ。お前は俺に教えてくれたじゃねえか。どうして俺が勝たなくちゃならないか。そして俺が絶対に勝って、俺は何をこんなところでぼんやりと遊んでいたんだ。
He'd been lazing and grazing.
ああ、もうこんなところで遊んでなんかいないぞ。
Too little too late, dog. Your sister's dead. Happy?
帰るからな、帰るからな。お土産持ってきっと帰るからな。約束する。
Let's go.
いらないから一つだけ。
なんだよ、何でも約束する。
この手を今から離すね。痛かったでしょ。ギュッとしててごめんね。私は大丈夫だから振り返らなくて。
Damn. This is the Persephone Greek tragedy, right? Remember, Persephone went to hell with Hades, and I forget who it was that came to like bring her back out of hell. And Hades was like, "Okay, you can bring her back, but if you turn back while you're bringing her out of hell, she comes back to me, bitch." So the dude that kind of like rescued her out of hell. Persephone out of hell. He was like, okay, leave me. I'm leading you, but don't fucking get in trouble because I can't turn around. And then she made some noises and shit. Like people were like badgering her. So the guy, like right before they got out of hell, he turned around to look, and Persephone, got turned back into hell for half the year basically. So Persephone lives in hell half the year, and then she lives the other half outside of hell because of that dude who fucking fucked everything up by turning around and looking at her. So this is the same kind of like story. Don't turn around. Don't turn around, babe. I'll be right back for you. Don't walk away, babe. I'll be.
最後にお兄ちゃんの一番かっこいいところを見せて。
What? Is that possible? Oops. I'll go ahead and save it. Since I hit the fucking... Not load. Not load. There you go.
席を立って
Rise from your grave!
魔女を指さしてゲームの再開を。
And his hand slid! And disappeared behind me! So I guess this is Battler talking now. Let me get out of Angie's voice. Angie's dead now, guys. Thanks to Battler. The stark marks of her fingers were left behind in the blood that had been oozing from her fingernails. But I turned around right away. So he turned around like fucking Persephone's dude. To take care of Angie's wounds! Dumbass. You can't help her now, dog. You already fucked her. You already fucked her. Being a fucking George. He's gone.
ああ、振り向いちゃダメって約束したのに。
He's gone, dude. Because you turned around.
どこへ。
He's gone. Well, there she is, right there. She's right over there, splattering on the floor. Behind my chair. As though about 10 watermelons packed with blood had all been smashed, there was a sticky, pulpy mountain. That's it. That's where she is. And all around that mountain of blood and minced meat, the clothes and shoes Angie had been wearing lay crumpled as though they had been thrown off. So the humans inside alone had been pulverized and discarded. And so Angie, who had been standing there until a second ago, had been crushed.
エンジ
There you go.
エンジはどこだよ
She's right there, dude.
エンジはどこに消えたんだよ
She missed a beer.
おいエンジはどこに消えたんだよ
She's the watermelon. The two young-looking witches said nothing, and just silently looked at the mountain of blood and meat and clothes. There you go. There's your answer. But I didn't want to accept it. I did not want to accept it! Dumbass.
わらはそなたの正面でずっと見ていた。そなたの後ろでエンジェが
Okay. Now she's gonna be a fucking bitch now. Okay. So, Beatrice is gonna start fucking getting serious here. Maybe. Let's see. See what happens here. We'll be right back, guys. We'll take a quick smoke break. And we'll be RB. see what Beatrice has up in store for us.
お前は知ってるのか。エンジはどこへ行ったんだ。
生きながら焼けたでっかいペンチで一つ一つ親指大の大きさで全身の肉を引きちぎ捨てていく。わらわは見ていた。
What?
魔女の釜で真っ赤に焼かれた無数の残忍な行為。縁一つまみ一つまみ肉をついばり火に引きちぎる。エンジェは誇っている。兄と最後の言葉を交わすためにその苦痛の喘ぎを最後まで耐えたことを誇っている。
Like hell that happened. But rolling there on top of that mountain of flesh and clothes was, without a doubt, what she had been wearing on her head. Those pink bead hair ornaments. To be honest, I was thinking they were a bit too childish and didn't really suit her, so I remembered them well. Why was Angie wearing these cheap hair ornaments all this time? No, 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 no! This can't be Angie, it couldn't be. Huh?
ベアトも正直ね。バトルには見えてなかったんだから、蝶々になって飛んでいったとか言ってごまかしちゃえばいいのに。
お前らもそれを見ていたのか。エンジがバラバラに引きちぎられていくところを
バラバラ
見ていたのかよ。見ててそんな平然とした顔を知ってたのかよ。
Without answering, Berkestel and the Delta and Beatrice looked at me. Some in pity, others in derision. She was calling herself Gretel. So after what happened with Virgilia in the last game, I was thinking up until now that she might be Beato's underling. And I was making sure not to trust her even though she was on my side. And then, just as I learned that it was actually Angie, I'm not permitted to see her face. When I turn around, I find something like this.
良いではないか、妹のことなど。
Damn.
どうせそなたは永遠にここから帰れなどせぬ。そなたの帰らぬ世界のどうなろうが知ったことではなかろう。そなたがここで遊んでいる限り無数の世界のエンジェが孤独に今の最後と同じ苦痛を10年以上にもかけて薄めて強いられる。そんなことはどうでもいいことではない。ここにいるそなたには見えない、観測できない、観測できない真実、赤き真実を用いねば立証できない。だからエンジェのその後の不幸はそなたの杞憂かもしれない。案外ルドルフの遺産でのんびりと生涯働かずに暮らせてたりしてな。
That was a lie. From Angie's arm, every part of the sad world that followed had poured into me in an instant. So he knows now what Angie lived through. It's all because I keep on lazing about forever and playing in a place like this. I never thought about anyone but myself. I have to defeat her. I have to take back my family and come back to Angie, who's waiting for me as soon as humanly possible. Because even as I hang around with all the witches like this, Angie's heart continues to be torn to bits by sadness. Endless 9.
お前が見たかったのはこれだよな。
Towards the cruel witch who had indifferently spoken of Angie's brutal last moments slowly, and yet, with all my might, I pointed.
ベアとリーチェ
There you go. That's the point.
ゲーム再開
It's
だ。
go time.
もう俺は逃げねえし。
望むところわらわはもはや逃げも隠れもできない。わらわとそなたの決着かどちらかが勝つ、どちらかが敗れて滅ぶ。それ以外の結末は
俺は勝つ。どれほどの時間をかけようとも絶対にお前を打ち破る。この勝負にもう妥協も中断も不先輩もない。俺は逃げない、逃がさない。俺を本気で倒しに来いよ。くだらない騙しもごまかしもおかしな交流も馴れ合いも一切必要ない。お前と俺は敵同士。一秒でも早く決着をつけて俺はエンジェのところへ家族を連れ帰らなきゃならない。
So we basically established that Balor is being led around the nose by all the women in his life, basically. By his mother, by his non-mother, by his sister, by the witch, by 3 witches, really. By Beatrice, Burke Castile, and Lambda Delta. And now he's fucking finally ready to get serious. Finally, right? Jesus Christ, it took him long enough. Let's go, Balor.
揺るぎなき決絶対の意志、人間の絶対なる意志、絶対の魔力、それは奇跡に通じそれを約束する。これは約束されたわらわの勝ちを聞くの一つ。ひとかけらの奇跡も絶対になありえぬということ。わらわの足にはいつの間にか音ももう片方の足にこの椅子に縛り付けてわらわに残されたる運命をバトラに殺され敗北すること。
So Beatrice can't escape now. She's locked in this fucking debate to the death, basically.
それを拒み永遠に引き分けを繰り返すことのみ。殺されるために心の整理がつくのに引き分けを繰り返すのなじみ。いずれにせよ敗れるためだけに戦わねばならない。もう永遠の鎖がわらわを縛りつけ、そしてバトラーの中みっともなく許しを請うため同情を請うために憐れみの心に訴えかける。なりふり構わず土下座した。鎖のせいでそれもかなわない。チェックメイト。これは完全なる爪だ。だわらわ黄金の魔女で黄金鏡に君臨したる黄金の魔王。敗れるための戦いであってもわらわにふさわしき態度だ。そしてわらわにふさわしき散り際を飾る権利。わらわと同じそなたに我が魔法を存在を認めさせてこの島に黄金鏡の扉を開く。そなたはその最初の茶会の主賓となる。そなた以外は全員がすでに揃っている。主賓の到着が遅れている。いつまでも茶会が開けない。そなたの父親母親いとこたちもみんな
ああ上等だぜ。まったくにもって上等だ。何が魔法だ何が魔女だ。お前との遊びはこれまでだ。行くぞベアトリーチェ。
存分に来るがよいぞ。妥協も中断も不先輩もない。どちらかが勝ちどちらかが滅ぶ。お前に負ける意志がないというわらわを倒す。しかしわらわもむざむざと殺されるしわらわにふさわしき最後はそなたに用意できるのだ。そなたにそれができる。今できるだ。必ずできる。来いよ。こっち やりにくいかならばいつもの調子でいく殺されるかよ。せめて勝てなくてもお前に勝ちを譲らない程度の嫌がらせはできるんだぜ。ほう、いい面構えだ。殺してみろ、殺してみろよ、後ろ宮バトル。おー
Well, so that's the end of episode 4 proper, but it's not the end of episode 4. You've got to go into the tips. You've got to go into the witch's tea party and the question mark arcs to finish up episode 4. So we've made the fucking made it to the end of the actual proper episode 4 though. So it's tea party time. Finish this up. So now the 4th tea party is going to be very different from the other tea parties. Remember how I said Battler is the only person that you can trust as far as things go in this game? Whatever he sees, whatever he knows, whatever he acknowledges is the only thing that's really happening in this life, in this game board life. And if he didn't see somebody die, they didn't die, basically. So again, we'll go back to the character pane. This is going forward 1 day, sorry, maybe 2 days, I don't know. Hey, it keeps going. Started at October 4th, now it's going to October, almost to the end of October 5th. So we're 2 hours before midnight on October 5th, looks like. So now we're back to Battler on the game board. This is Battler on the game board, not in the meta world. Let's go back to the character pane here, real quick. Again, only person we confirmed dead is Georgie boy. Everybody else, Battler has not seen these guys die. He's been told this shit from Beatrice while she's telling the story. Beatrice is saying, oh yeah, you know, Kyrie died, Rudolph died, Eva died, Kraus died, right? Kinzo burned up in the fucking spontaneous combustion event. Jessica died. You know, Natsui died. Everybody died. But Battler's never seen anybody but this guy die in the game. So we're not sure if anybody else is really dead except for this guy. Corpse discovered by the Ghost Garden Arbor is seeing a hole in the center of the forehead. That's the only thing that Battler's ever confirmed in this game. So now we're gonna confirm more deaths, basically, and we're gonna try to piece together what's magic and what's not magic, basically, in this game. So let's go. It's gonna be a long process, actually. Please, someone explain what happened yesterday in a way that I can understand. I continued helping myself to the food in the mansion's kitchen. The massive commercial refrigerator had everything. I could eat and drink as much as I liked. I'd have more than enough to eat, even if the typhoon didn't clear up for a week. So I actually misspoke last installment. I said after the midnight hour on October the 5th, once it returned from the 4th to the 5th, that Beatrice could be seen and it was not something that's in reality. No, that actually happened. So the person who dressed up as Beatrice actually did come out on the balcony, and that person who dressed up as Beatrice actually showed herself or himself, whoever it is, in front of Battler, pretended to be Beatrice, and like asking that question, you know, do you remember the sin that happened 6 years ago? That was reality, right? So he's not dead yet at that point. Battler is still alive, and now we're at approximately 10 hours later than that point. 2 hours before midnight again, on midnight on the 6th, basically. So midnight on the 6th is when everybody dies, basically. So Battler's not dead yet. Battler's still alive. 2 hours from now, he will be dead, though. So he's trying to figure out what's happening. He's got a 2-hour window to do this before he dies. That's what's happening right now in this tea party arc. With the bottle in one hand, half of which I'd already drunk, I helped myself to some sliced ham. I wonder just how expensive this stuff was. Man, you ingredients are out of luck. If only I had Goda-san to cook you, you would have been born as much more incredible food. I looked at the clock. Very soon it'd be midnight. Very soon, 2 hours. October the 5th, the second day would end. And his life would end too, by the way. The insanity of yesterday's October the 4th didn't seem real. That was how little had happened after my so-called test. Nothing was happening. No phone calls, no letters. No one coming to see me, no one coming to attack me. Not a goddamn thing. Give me back all the time and energy I wasted on being on edge. An entire day, a full 24 hours. And absolutely nothing happened. And I'm sure that nothing will continue to happen as well. Well, we'll see. Full 24 hours ago, I was called to the front of the mansion by Beatrice. Again, that was actually happening in reality. The Beatrice that appeared in the schoolgirl outfit. That was really the person who dressed up as Beatrice, appearing in front of Battler in her disguise, I want to say, as Beatrice. Somebody that he knows. I'm going to go ahead and say somebody that he knows, who was purportedly dead in the mansion earlier, went ahead and shedded that personality and dressed up as Beatrice and appeared in front of Battler as Beatrice and pretended to be oh, I'm gonna test you and shit. And that was a fake persona, and she didn't get the answer she wanted from Battler, so she's like, you know what, I'm giving up on this game. That's what happened before the end of the game, before the end of episode 4. So now we're on Tea Party, and this is the aftermath of that shit. I gave a serious answer in my own way, but unfortunately we just didn't seem to be getting each other. Beatrice got bent out of shape for no reason and stopped talking to me. It wasn't for no reason. I just couldn't understand the reason. I yelled at her to say something, but she wouldn't say a word. Then I asked where Maria was, and she just told me to go to the chapel and went away. What an astounding anticlimax. Stupid as it was still a test, so at least tell me whether I passed or failed, for hell's sake. What is she trying to say? Good work, your results will be mailed to you later or something? Annoying bitch! In any case, I headed to the chapel. Both George and Jessica had been killed after failing their tests. I couldn't let Maria be killed too. Well, you're gonna be sour about that. Besides, I had thought this would be a chance to catch whoever it was while they were in the process of trying to kill Maria. When I was young, Jessica often told me I'd get in trouble if I went near the chapel. So I'd never been there, but I at least know where it was. I couldn't sense anyone there, but there was a bundle of keys lying in front of the door. I thought this might be a message to open the door to the chapel, but after trying all the keys, I found none fit. I also called Maria's name, but there was no answer whatsoever. I searched around the chapel, but there was a limit to what I can do in the pitch black with just a flashlight. I realized that this key bundle might be a set of master keys, which could possibly open the door to the mansion. Finding no sign of Maria, I turned to the mansion. There we go. Mansion's now accessible. The mansion was wrapped in silence and a horrible stench. Still, it's pretty amazing how good humans are at adapting. Technically, the smell was still pervading the entire mansion, but I'd grown completely used to it and stopped minding it at this point. It didn't feel like anything more than any old house where someone had burnt some meat. So we smelled the burnt body of Kinzo, probably. Stench knocked me back on the first entering, but I ignored it and decided to head into the dining room hall. There we go. So now he's gonna discover some dead bodies at this point, where I found all those corpses that were in such a sorry state that Goda-san and Kumasawa-san had hesitated to speak on them in any detail. They were the remains of the very first victims, Aunt Natsuhi and the rest. So the rest, we know Aunt Natsuhi is one of them. Let's see who's the rest. See, now we get some people. Now that Battler's actually seen these people died, That's when we're gonna confirm that their deaths are actually a thing. So Al Natsui first. Corpse discovered in the dining hall. Her head was half destroyed. It seems reasonable to think that she was murdered with something like a powerful gun. Everybody's murdered by a gun, basically. And in the story that Beatrice told, they're murdered by magic, by a magical bunny, you know, killing them with a magical arrow. But it's literally a gun, basically. However, the witnesses don't believe that she was killed with a gun. It was a gun. It's definitely a gun. Let's go to Eva. Of course, discovered in the dining hall. Her head was half destroyed. It seems like reasonable to think that she was murdered with a gun. Who else was with a gun, right? Something like a gun. Same kind of wound. We've already seen George. Rudolph, his father. Something like a gun, right? Rosa. Something like a gun, right? Something like a gun. So they all were killed by a gun, basically. And they were told over the phone that it was magic. But in reality, it was a gun. Get that through your heads, guys. It was such a gruesome sight that even without knowing a thing about examining corpses, I could have pronounced them 100% dead. And on top of that, the remaining half of their faces were left like normal, so it was even easy to identify them. They really pulled out all the stops for these corpses. And finally, the bodies here weren't just the 6 of the first Twilight. They had grown in number and now included one more. 7 corpses plus Maria. Whoa! Maria's dead too. What? Alright, let's see what happened to Maria here. Maria. Discovered in the dining hall near the located notable external wounds. Butler speculated that it may be some type of poisoning. The most peaceful method of inviting a person to the Golden Land. Wow. So Maria was poisoned. How do we think that happened, right? And who do we think gave Maria poison? Well, gee, golly willikers, who's part of the Mariage Sorcieri, right? Who would Maria take a drink from without even thinking about it twice? I think Beatrice, right? The person dressed up as Beatrice, giving Maria, you know, a fruit punch, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And then she's saying, oh, this is the way to get to the Golden Land. Drink this, and you'll see Sakotaro again. I would bet that's what happened. Maria drank something that Beatrice gave her, and she gave her a painless death, basically. Well, that sucks. That sucks for Maria, right? She was lying next to Aunt Rosa. I was still sleeping alongside her. I cried at the death of the innocent young girl. At the cruel way my dad and the others had died. I ran about the mansion swinging my hat stand spear, yelling, "Come on out here, you bastard! You stupid bastard!" But there was absolutely no sign of anyone else. Thinking that they might be hiding somewhere and scheming to attack me from behind, I went around searching for possible hiding places. Sometimes being cautious, sometimes intentionally letting my guard down, and trying all kinds of things, but in the end, not so much as a kitten appeared. The morning came. My tension and fatigue mixed together with my drowsiness made for the worst kind of dawn. So we're now on we're on the 6th? Let's see. It didn't say. Okay. Humans are pretty incredible. Even though I didn't know where the hell the murder was hiding, I was prioritizing drowsiness and fatigue over worrying for my own life. By this time, I was starting to feel pretty ridiculous. I had walked around the mansion for a full 6 hours until dawn broke, yelling at them to show themselves. Show yourselves, fools! I had done the painstaking... Oh, this is back... Okay, this is still the 5th. This is before he went to the kitchen and started drinking and shit. This is right after the fucking test, quote-unquote test, ended. So, when they say 6 hours, they're meaning 6 hours from the dawn of the 5th. So we're still in the 5th right now. I had done the painstaking search, tired myself out, and even let my guard down. Still no one was coming to attack me. And so at that point I just said, screw it, do whatever you want. Just do it! Just do it! Why put off today what you can do today? Do it! the boat wouldn't come until the typhoon passed. They were saying on TV that it wouldn't pass until tomorrow, so I had a whole day to just do it! The idea of just lazing about didn't seem very appealing, so even though I knew it would probably make the police mad, I decided to play detective a bit. Alright, Detective Badler, let's go. First, the dining hall, where the very first murders occurred. Elementary, my dear Watson. The 6 who were killed in the beginning were really pitiful to look at. The weapon was probably a gun. Definitely a gun. Magnum, probably. Their heads were split by something powerful like a magnum bullet or a shotgun. Magnum, dog. It's Magnum. That seemed like a valid reasoning. Magnum. In comparison, Maria, who was the 7th body, had died in a far better and cleaner way. At a glance, there were no external wounds, and it wasn't clear how she had been killed, but there were signs that bubbles had been forming around her mouth. There we go. Poison. Poison! Poison! And it looked like a typical death by poisoning that you might see from a TV drama. Poison! Wasn't Maria called out to the chapel and given her test there? But of course she didn't have to go there because we don't know what the hell Maria heard over the phone. And we know she's an accomplice, so Beatrice most likely told her to do something different than what Badler thinks she did. Probably told her to go right to the fucking dining hall and drink some fucking juice. And that's how she died. That's probably it. That's probably it, 100%. Then why is she here in the corpse-filled dining hall lying next to her mother dead? Assuming that's the cause of death was poison, who gave it to her? Well, she drank it herself, probably. Her clothes aren't disturbed at all. It's hard to imagine that she was forced to be pushed down and given an injection of poison. It's probably better to assume that she was given a poison capsule or something that made to swallow it. Nah. I think she drank it herself, thinking she'll be revived in the Golden Land. Remember, she said as much there before she left. Even if I die, I'll be revived in the Golden Land. So she wants to be revived for their good mother in the Golden Land. So she drank the poison to do that, because she already knew her mother was dead prior to entering the fucking dining hall. So that's what happened, probably. That said, compared to the violently mutilated corpse scattered about this room, Maria's corpse is far too clean. With a gun, all you need to do is pull the trigger. But poison, whether injected or made to be swallowed, would take a lot more effort. Not the way she took it, probably. Bearing in mind the culprit's brutal nature too, I felt Maria's death alone had clearly been given special treatment. Of course, because she's part of the Mariage Society. Why is Maria alone given a sleep-like death, Mariage Society? She was killed, so in that sense, I still felt sorry for her. There can be no doubt about that. But for some reason, the manner of Maria's murder in particular seemed very courteous to me. Mariage Society. That's why. Maria had her hands joined on her chest the way that the dead often do. Did Maria do that herself before dying? I probably think that Beatrice did that. Isn't this usually something done by someone else after the person dies? Beatrice did that, probably. Maria was resting in peace as though sleeping together with her mother, whose head was half crushed. For some reason, the contrast really bugged me. There were probably a lot of mysteries surrounding Maria's death, starting with the cause, and more than anything else, the biggest mystery of the dining hall was the pitfalls. The pitfalls that both Uncle Krause's group and Goda-san's had mentioned. After the 6 had been killed, 5 more had fallen through pitfalls and had been captured. What are the pitfalls? The pitfalls are completely 100% fake, basically. That's what the pitfalls are. The pitfalls are what the person dressed up as Beatrice told these idiots to say over the phone to convince Badler and the other cousins about magic. That's all. That's literally all the pitfalls are. Don't get confused, guys. When I was playing this game the first time, I got confused here. I'm like, oh yeah, what the hell with the pitfalls and all the magical shits? They're hearsay and fucking lies. That's what they are. Those things that suddenly open up and you fall through them, right? The floor was firmly laid with a majestic, if a bit worn out carpet. It was clearly a single piece. If pitfalls were meant to open it up, there would have been seam in that one place. And anyway, if there were some trick like a pitfall, wouldn't it creak when you walked on it? No matter how much I walked or ran over my hands on carpet, I just couldn't imagine that a pitfall was hidden there. This is not. In the first place, it would be one thing if a single person had fallen, but it was a full 5 people. From what I could piece together from all their stories, each one of them had fallen from a different location. They're all lying. So at the very least, there have been 5 separate places concealing pitfalls, and every single one of them is a lying bastard. Even Kyrie, lying bastard. Kraus is probably the head accomplice here, by the way, guys. Kraus is the one that probably led the fucking charge. That's all full battler. It's all a game, guys. And then everybody thought it was a game until they got killed, basically. That's pretty much what happened. Kraus was the ringleader, saying, "Oh, I'm the fucking Usurumi ahead, so we're gonna pretend that Kinzo's still alive. We're gonna pretend that we're gonna fall through pitfalls, and Kumasawa and Goda are gonna get locked up in this garden shed, and we're gonna all full battler because he's been gone for 7 years and he doesn't know any better. So we're gonna pay him back a little bit for being a bitch for 7 years, right?" And that's what happened. And then at the end of that, the person who really ringlaid that shit, not Kraus, but Beatrice, the person dressed up as Beatrice, killed them all while pretending it to be just a farce, a murder mystery farce, basically. That's how everybody died. And Kraus is the main culprit who got everybody to fucking agree to that shit. But everybody fucking agreed to pretty much bully Battler for leaving the family for 6 years. And that's why Jessica said what she said over the phone. That's why Kyrie said what she said over the phone. They both said, "Oh, believe in magic," thinking that, oh, it's part of the fucking gag, right? It's part of the thing Kraus wants us to do. And we're gonna like jump out of the fucking bushes and say, "Ha ha, you idiot," at the end of this shit. When he thinks that, you know, a magical witch has really killed us all, but we really are still alive. Joke's on them. The magical witch, quote unquote, literally killed you guys. And now Battler's going around finding their corpses because they were too stupid to see that the person dressed up as Beatrice really had a real vendetta against these guys. And Battler, I guess, too. So that's what it means, to answer that question. Was this room actually made with the pitfalls across the entire floor? So that with a single button press, you could open up a pitfall in the location of your choice, some kind of contraption like that. No, not at all. The kind of ridiculous mechanism would be surprising even in a ninja mansion, because it doesn't exist, sir. Even so, if Dad and the rest heard about this, maybe they'd say, "I wouldn't put it past grandfather, you bet he'd do this, he'd make this, blah blah blah." In any event, I didn't learn anything more from that than that from the dining hall. Do the pitfalls not exist? They don't. Or do they exist, but I just can't find them, amateur that I am? I can't say for sure. Since they claim the pitfalls were there, I can't ignore the pitfalls even if I can't find them. You can ignore them because they are lying, sir. They're a bunch of liars. Next ones to be killed had been Jessica and George Aniki. I'd already discovered George when I was called out for my test. He was called out to the arbor in the rose garden and shot in the forehead, probably with a gun. Definitely with a gun. Yep. That's why they had the gunshot there. It was a gun. As for Jessica, she was called out to her own room on the 2nd floor of the mansion. I found the door to the room locked, but that wasn't the problem since I had the master key. And inside the room was horrible. But of course, it's nothing I hadn't already familiarized myself with in the dining hall, so I built up a bit of immunity. The phone receiver was dangling off the hook. Was she killed while on the phone with me? Probably. I think so. So the person dressed up as Beatrice, I'm gonna give you a slight spoiler here. The person dressed up as Beatrice also dressed up as other people. So she wasn't just dressed up as Beatrice, aka just impersonating Beatrice. She also impersonated other people. Who would you think that person impersonated himself as to wind up in Jessica's room? To convince Jessica to say all that lying bullshit about magic being real, about magic being the reason why she's gonna die in 3 minutes. Who would you think is the only person that could convince Jessica to say all that shit to Battler over the phone? Because that person is the killer. I'm not gonna say who it is, but it should be obvious to you guys. The only person that could convince Jessica to say the shit that she said to Battler over the phone, and the same person who has the means. We don't know about the motive yet, but we do know the means and the opportunity were there for that person to dress up as they did and to kill Jessica basically while she's on the phone with Bradley. Who is it? Who? There's only one name that should be on your lips, guys. Only one. I'm not gonna say it. We aren't in the answer arc yet. We're in the question arc still, so I'm not gonna say it, but it should be obvious. Jessica was sitting against the wall right next to it with half her head splattered out. Let's see what her character paint says. Jessica, corpse discovered in her own room on the second floor of the mansion. Her head was half destroyed. It seems reasonable to think that she was murdered with something like a powerful gun. Everybody was murdered with a gun, basically. Destroyed herself with her own strike with George's counter-attacking type. That's bullshit. That's all bullshit. This part was real. So they have the real part and then they have the fake part. The magical part. You can believe either the trick or you can believe the magic. It's up to you guys. This will be important later though, but there's a trick version and then there's the magical version. Which one do you believe, guys? As far as I can tell by looking at the scene, it looked as though she had been killed while on the phone. In that case, had the culprit been there before her eyes, I think it's very plausible to say she was killed on the phone while she's talking to Badler. Because whoever was in the room with her convinced her to say all the shit and pretend to be dying and say, "Oh, you gotta play it up as if you're dying via magic in another few minutes before you die. Make sure that you like, oh, I'm gonna die in 3 minutes, Badler." Make sure you say it like that and play it up. And as soon as she was, at that 3 minute mark, whoever was in the room with her went ahead and shot her in the fucking face before she knew what the hell was happening. And she trusted this person 100%, which is the only reason why she did what she did. She wouldn't have said that for anybody, guys. Just think who it was, possibly, that she would be doing this for. Like, there's only one person in this storyline, to be honest, that she would be doing this for. And that person is also the person who is dressing herself or himself up as Beatrice. Who is that person? Ask yourself that question. I'm not going to spell it out for you any more than that, but it's pretty clear. I hadn't gotten that impression from Jessica's voice over the phone. I'm pretty sure Jessica said they got me. It's probably best to assume that she had already received the fatal wound at the time of the phone call. That's right, and she also said this.
バトラが来た時には私は頭を半分ぶちまけた。
And somebody telling her to say that line. Who would make her say that line? Who could convince her to say that shit? And then, who would she turn her back to and trust to then have somebody like blow her brains out in about 2 seconds later after she says this? Who? Yeah, she definitely said that. From what I can tell by looking at Jessica's corpse, there were no wounds on her other than the damage to her head. Then she was injured seriously enough that she steeled herself for death and then died halfway through the phone call? It feels like, with the way she was talking on the phone, she was out of danger for the time being. You shouldn't be able to have a casual conversation over the phone. The killer is right in front of you. Unless the killer is somebody you trusted. Right? So did the culprit come part way through the phone call and kill her? Nope. No, that can't be right. After all, this room is locked. No, like hell that counts for anything. If the culprit had stolen the master key from one of the victims, the fact that it was locked is meaningless. But there are no external wounds other than her head. In which case, should I assume the fatal wound that she was prepared to die from and the actual wound that destroyed her head were two different events? Both of them made from the same part of the body? No, the first wound was fucking bullshit. The second wound is actually the one that killed her. In other words, Jessica was struck severely in the head and received an incredibly bad wound. Then she called me, nope. She didn't receive the fucking blow, first of all. She pretended that she received the blow, first of all. And then she called me and either lost consciousness or died while on the phone. Or she got killed while on the phone. Then the culprit came and destroyed her head for real, or something. Nope. Order of events is wrong. She's on the phone, she gets killed. She probably gets whacked on the phone, to be honest, from behind, and then somebody shoots her in the fucking face while she's on the ground out of consciousness. That's probably the events that happened. And then somebody hangs up the phone so they don't hear the gunshot, basically. Because he didn't hear the gunshot over the phone, probably. So that's what probably happened. Same with Kyrie, I would think. So he wouldn't think it's a gun and not the fucking magical arrow that happened. Being called to the room, Jessica was attacked by the culprit and seriously injured. And the culprit thought they killed her and went away for the time being. This is all bullshit. But then Jessica miraculously started breathing again and called me with a low-dying breath. Bullshit. And the culprit realized that they had failed in killing her and rushed back to deliver the final blow to Jessica. Bullshit. Who had lost consciousness from massive blood loss. Bullshit. That's not bullshit. The gunshot is not bullshit. That seems to make sense more or less. Except for how Jessica was able to accurately predict the form of that final blow because somebody told her before they killed her. Like a very fucking sadistic bitch. And there was one more thing that bugged me about the phone call from Jessica. Jessica said this.
ジョージ兄さんもダメだった。ありゃ作詞だ。
So that's another clue. She was told to say this by the person dressed up as Beatrice. Nobody else would know that George is dead, other than that person. And she's thinking this is a farce, a fucking joke, a rib, if you will, on Badler. This is the only reason why she said this. She didn't say this because she thought this is true. She thought this is part of the fucking play. Everything I'm saying, guys, is a valid explanation for anti-magic. Anti-magical fucking explanation, right? So the shit I'm saying right now is not proven, but it's a theory of how you can prove this shit happening without magic. Otherwise, magic exists, right? If you can't explain it without magic, then magic exists. So what I say is the scenario that you want to believe in if you don't believe in magic. She said it almost as though she had witnessed George Aniki being killed. While you certainly could see the rose garden from the window in Jessica's room, the arbor that George Aniki had been called out to was very far away. You could only just make it out the roof. And that's a point in the non-magical column. There's no way she could have seen George dying from where she was, because she fucking went to the room after George went to his room. So there's no way she could know George is dead unless somebody told her to say that. That's a point. That's a big clue, basically, that the magic is not real. Basically, that's a big clue. Add on the fact that it was night in the teeth of a typhoon. It's very hard to imagine that she was able to witness everything that happened in the arbor from this window. And most important of all, Jessica left before George Aniki. There you go. So how would she know what happened to George when she's left before him? She doesn't even know where the fuck he's going. Unless somebody told her, basically. She didn't have known that George Aniki's test had taken place in the arbor at all. How did Jessica know that George had been killed? That was a blunder by Beatrice, basically. It's a big blunder. So you didn't think that through. And then in the course of my search for the entire mansion, I found Kyrie's corpse as well. Let's go ahead and check Kyrie. So you're getting a lot of information in the Tea Party. This is the one time you're getting a lot of information in the Tea Party, guys. So make sure you fucking look at this Tea Party shit. Corpse discovered in the guest room inside the mansion. There was a single hole in the center of her forehead. Seems reasonable to think she was shot with a gun or something. The same gun. Demon stake was rammed into her forehead, but it's difficult to imagine that this is the cause of death. I didn't miss. I missed on purpose to torment her, and yeah. So that's 410, however you want to say it. But of course, that's the magical part. This is the actual part. That's the reality part. This is the fucking magic part. She was in an old guest room tucked away on the first floor. On the old first floor. This is where all us relatives used to stay before the guest house was built. The situation with Kyrie was just like Jessica's. She was probably killed during her phone call with me. Again, same thing, same scenario. Somebody that Kyrie let get behind her, let convince her to say all this bullshit to Badler. She probably didn't need that much convincing because, of course, Kyrie thinks that Badler's not really her son, when that's probably not the case. He's probably her biological son, but some kind of shenanigans with Rudolph. She doesn't think that's the case. Probably somebody switched the birth. Probably. We don't have any confirmation on that yet, though. But it's probably old Mr. fucking Rudolph had switched Asumu and Kirie's babies at birth. The baby that Asumu birthed died in childbirth. But since he was married to Asumu, he swapped that dead baby with Kirie's live baby, which was Battler. And Kirie thinks her baby died in childbirth, which is why Rudolph, initially married Asumu. Because he'd already married her at that point, but he swapped the babies so he wouldn't have a child out of wedlock, basically, and he'd have a horse in the race for the inheritance of the Ushiromiya throne, of the Trump throne. So that's the reason why Battler thinks he's Asumu's son, but he's not. He's actually Kirie's son. Kirie birthed him, but Rudolph was a shady ass bitch. He swapped the babies just so he can keep his inheritance, basically, so he can still be in line. He has an heir to the throne, basically, but he never loved Asumu. He was just married to her, and she failed as a mother. Basically, the son she birthed died. The Battler she birthed, she called him Battler, basically. He died after 2 days in the fucking ICU, probably. So, but Rudolph did. He threw some money to the fucking doctors and had Kirie's baby and Asumu's baby swapped, so he can keep his son alive. Which fucked over Kirie. So now he was going to tell Kirie and Battler all that shit, basically, before he died. But that's the thing that he wanted to say in episode 1. He's like, you know what, I gotta tell you guys something that happened in the past. It's gonna fuck up their fucking entire psyches, entire lives. And that was the thing that he wanted to tell them. Like, I fucked you over, Kirie, by making you think that your baby died. It never died. Your baby is fucking Battler, and Battler fucking spent 6 years wasting his life over a mother that wasn't ever his mother, and that's pretty much why Rudolph is a bastard that you can't trust. So I went ahead and spoiled pretty much a kind of major plot point, but you kind of get that. You're not ever told that verbatim in this game, but that's why Beatrice told Battler he's not Asumu's son, and that's why you have to start thinking, well, why isn't he his son? Why isn't he her son? That's the reason why. Literally, because Rudolph was a flim-flam artist and swapped the babies at birth, basically. That's why. So I went ahead and told you that, guys. You're never going to get that information in the game, so you're welcome. You're welcome. You probably killed during our phone call with me. Receiver was hanging in tightly, and Kirie was collapsed beside it. So, I say all of that to say, who would you think is in the room with Kirie now that she would trust to be behind her, to tell her all this, bullshit lines to say? Who would Kirie lie for, basically, in this room? And it's not fucking Kraus, right? It's not anybody that's purportedly dead at this point. You would think it's Rudolph, right? You would think. So, is Rudolph still alive at this point when she makes this call? I would think so. This is my theory. Rudolph's in the room here. Rudolph was convinced somehow by the person dressed up as Beatrice, maybe with the golden fucking gold treasure room, basically. She brings a couple bars of gold for Rudolph, and of course Rudolph's hard up for money, so Rudolph comes in this room and convinces Kirie to say all this bullshit to Battler, and tell Battler that magic exists. Tell Battler that we're gonna die in a second, right? And that we've been killed by magic. Tell him all that shit. As soon as she does the deed, the person dressed as Beatrice comes in. 1 shoots Rudolph, 2 shoots Kirie. Double tap, bam bam, right? And then she moves Rudolph's body back to the dining room hall where Battler found it, and she leaves Kirie's body right there. and puts a stake in it in the forehead to make it believe that it's a fucking Twilight kill. So, I mean, that explains everything, right? With logic, without magic. That's what it explains. So, maybe your theory is different, guys, but that's my theory. But the way she had been killed was very different from Jessica. Her head wasn't smashed. Instead, something like a stake with an occult design was buried in her forehead. It was too gruesome for me, so I pulled it out. It was only after pulling it out that I realized that this might get me into trouble with the police later. Now you're gonna be fine. So even though it was probably a little late now, I laid it by Carrier's side. Its tip was sharp and stained with enough blood that it might have penetrated fully to the brain. I didn't know what kind of metal it was made of, but it was heavy as a paperweight. Certainly if you stabbed all out with something like this, it might cause a terrible wound. I probably understood what the stake meant. Yeah, I know this. It's the message of the killing from the fourth Twilight onwards in the witch's epitaph. That gouge with the stake and kill thing, probably. However, the human skull is very hard. Even with all one's strength, could you really pierce through it this sharply? What if you shoot with a magnum gun and then put that goddamn dagger in that bullet hole? It's easy. No. The way I reasoned it, the stake wasn't the cause of death. It was just used to damage the corpse after death. She was probably, there we go, killed by a shot with a gun or something like George. And the stake was stuck into the hole. Yep. Thinking about it that way, everything works out. It sure does. But was Kyrie really killed with a gun? Yes. She had said this on the phone as well. Kyrie was under attack even though she was holed up inside of the locked room. Because that's what Rudolph told her to say. And this room actually was locked. And she had said something about a golden thread-like thing flying in through the keyhole and attacking her. Because that's what Beatrice told Rudolph to tell her to say. And in fact, there were 4 places around Kyrie's corpse with holes that could have been caused by some kind of attack. But still, a golden thread attacked her through the keyhole. Looked at the door from Kyrie's perspective. It had been one of those old locks that you see in the old mystery novels. You can peek through to the other side, and you can understand that something might potentially have come through it. I don't even see the fucking keyhole. There should be a keyhole right there, but oh well. Even though the doors in the mansion were old-fashioned, the locks were the familiar average cylinder style that you could find in any normal house. In other words, there was no hole going all the way through by construction. So no matter how thin an object it might have been, it's impossible to imagine that it could have penetrated through the keyhole from the outside and attacked her. Cylinder lock. Keyhole? But Kyrie had definitely said that something like golden thread had flown in through the keyhole, and it spun around and around, aiming for her, attacking her. That's your first clue that she's lying. Your first clue. Golden thread attacking through the keyhole. I couldn't understand what it meant at all. When there's no keyhole, and she says it's a keyhole, she's obviously lying. There's your clue. There's your clue, guys. That Rudolph fed her the line, and Beatrice fed Rudolph the line to feed to Kyrie. Wait, actually, Kyrie predicted that I wouldn't be able to understand all of this. And not just Kyrie-san, Jessica said it over the phone too. No, since the very beginning, from the time we talked to Goda-san and Kumasawa-san, I got the phone call from Uncle Krause's group. Been saying the same consistent thing. Grandfather is summoning witches and demons, killing people with magic. We witnessed it happening with our very own eyes. No tricks, no illusions. No choice but to believe it. They all said it with one voice. They all said it. The battler never saw it. Right? Specifically, he never saw it. When that mysterious woman calling herself Beatrice appeared, even I pretty much believed that she was a real witch and might start summoning great goat monsters right and left. However, after being left alone for a whole day, once my feeling of tension had faded completely, I had a level enough head to think that this is way too stupid to possibly be true. There you go, sir. There you go. In that extraordinary situation where their lives were exposed to danger, did they just lose their heads a little and mistakenly think that a witch was attacking them with magic? Yes. Yes, and or they were bought off with gold to be accomplices. But multiple people testified to the same effect, and on top of that, none of their opinions contradicted each other. Why? Because half of them were victims, like George, who just got killed for no reason. The other half were bought off and or convinced, like Jessica, like Kyrie, like Krause. and everybody else. If it had been a single person statement, I'd been able to suspect that they just didn't see what they thought they saw. But doing that now is pretty difficult. Yeah, I mean, she plays a good game. This is a good game board for Beatrice because literally everybody backs up her magical farce. Everybody backs up that magic is a thing, it exists, and it's the reason why people are dying left and right. Why? Because they don't know any better. Because they've been either bought off or convinced off to not say the truth to Battler. A lot of people think that it's like a game. It's like a murder mystery that they don't even realize people have really been killed in this murder mystery. They're thinking that they're playing a game for Battler, right? And that's why the shits went down that it went down like. Battler has no idea about this stuff. Then right next to the back door, I found Uncle Kraus with his head half destroyed, fucking head sawed off. Saw-off shotgun. Of course, over in the vicinity of the mansion's back entrance, it said that destroyed. It seemed like reasonable to think that he was murdered with something like a powerful gun. Again, another gun. Demon Stake rammed to the destroyed portion of his head. None can escape from the Chester's golden arrows. Fake and real. Even though he escaped from the dungeon of Kuadorian, somehow made it out of the secret underground passage and all the way here, he was killed. Buried into the gruesome cross-section of his half-destroyed head was a stake with an occult design just like the one that was driven into Kyrie-san's forehead. And in this situation, it was very hard to imagine that this stake was the murder weapon. He was killed with a powerful gun like the 6 in the dining hall. And after death, he was struck with a stake like Kyrie-san. I wonder if the golden threads that Kyrie-san spoke of attacked Uncle Kraus too. Does there exist some kind of tool like an endoscope, which is very thin but can be moved about as will? And that can also attack people? No. Not that I know of. No way, I've never even heard of anything like that. Can't do an endoscopy as a fucking projectile attack. I'm sorry, sir, it's not gonna work. But even so, if I voiced that suspicion to one of my relatives, perhaps they would say I wouldn't put it past grandfather to make one. Since I can't refute the existence of the golden thread X that can be moved at will and attack people, my only options are either to accept this completely incomprehensible weapon or else to accept that these murders were committed with magic. No. No, 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 no. No. Your only options are to not believe what people tell you or to believe that people telling you magic exists. That's what your two options are, sir. You find the next corpse, have to go through the back door and search around outside a bit. Go through the back door! That's what I'm talking about, Badly. That's what I like to see. Behind the mansion, in the wild-grown bushes that were almost swallowed up by the forest, there was something like an old well. And right next to it were the corpses of Dr. Nanjo and Shenan-chan. Both corpses had their heads smashed. And there was a stake lying right next to each one of their destroyed heads, though they weren't stuck in. So we got different conditions for these two bodies. The stakes aren't in the body's fucking foreheads this time. Let's see, go ahead and see. Nanjo! Corpse is still behind the mansion. His head was half destroyed. It seems reasonable to think that he was shot with a gun or something. A demon stake was lying next to the corpse. Fake and real. Fake and real. That's actually what happened to Nanjo. Shannon, one of the first dead, actually the second because we got Genji dead too. But one of the first dead servants here. And we've always surmised that the servants are in on it. Whoever is the person dressing up as Beatrice, especially now that they say that, oh, it was Kinzo who's doing it all along. Of course the servants are going to be in on it, right? Because they're going to have to obey, quote-unquote, Kinzo's orders, so. Well, it's interesting that Sanon's dead now. How she died? Corpse discovered behind the mansion, her head was half destroyed. It seems reasonable to think that she was shot with a gun or something. So, same way. Demon's stake was lying next to the corpse. The witnesses understand one thing at least, it was not the stake that killed her. So she had to be killed by a gun, looks like. And then this is the fake part. Or this is not actually, this is the real part too. They're all real. They're all real. Because this doesn't say that the demon stick was the reason why she got killed. So this is one of the few times where everything's real there. All the corpses were atrocious, but having to look directly at Shannon Chan's Leslie Chase, half of which was blown off, was very painful. Then there was the well, inside of which I was told was a secret underground passage to the mysterious mansion Kuwadorian. By this time I was beginning to think Beatrice and her accomplices might have used this underground passage to leave for Kuwadorian. There were supposedly 10 or more of these guys. I hadn't been able to see hide nor hair of any of them. It made hell of a lot of sense to think that they'd already escaped somewhere else. They had this typhoon to contend with. They couldn't go out to sea. Same for the forest. There was no way they could converse in such a deep, uncultivated forest on foot. In that case, there's only one place for them to go. The mysterious hidden mansion Kuwadorian! A secret underground passes at the bottom of the well. That's all bullshit. There are no go boys. There are no bunny girls, right? There are no fucking witches. None of the accomplices, or even Kinzo, were alive in this game. It was only ever the person dressed up as Beatrice, and that person was one of the people that are now either dead or pretending to be dead. So you can say, oh, it might have been Nanjo. Oh, it might have been Shannon, right? Oh, it might have been Cannon. Oh, where's Cannon's body, by the way? Let's see. By the time, I had entirely lost my fear of being killed if I happened to come across the enemy. He's screwing with me like this. This time I'll march into your mansion. Oh, and I'll point something else out here. The people that Balor is now confirming dead, everybody that's not George, really. Go ahead and save it. Remember, George is the only person he confirmed to die before the test happened. After the test happens, remember, he spends 6 hours opening up the shed, opening up the, I'm sorry, not the shed, the, going to the chapel, opening up the mansion, and, going through the fucking fridge, drinking wine, whatever the fuck he was drinking. In between that 6 hours and now he's gonna start, confirming bodies and shit. So now he's confirmed, these 6, these 2, these 2, these 3. So now he's confirmed that everybody's dead, but he's never seen them actually die. So the person that was dressed up as Beatrice could have been any of those people that have been confirmed dead now. It can't be George, right? We know it's not George because George was already dead. But he doesn't know who it was, and in those 6 hours, one of these people could have committed suicide to throw him up the fucking trail. And in fact, I'll go ahead and tell you, one of them did commit suicide to throw him off the trail. Who is it? You actually didn't see Genji. But he's the same as fucking other corpses in the dining hall. Who is it? Well, it could be anybody that he's now seen dead. They could have killed themselves after the fucking... You already know that test disappointed Beatrice immensely, right? So she's ready to kill herself, basically. So she probably did. The person who dressed up as her took off her costume and probably killed themselves. Probably. I'm gonna say 90% probably. I'm not too sure on that. Don't quote me on that, but that's probably what happened. So any of these new bodies that you're seeing could actually be Beatrice. The old well had a firm cover on it. The cover was an iron grill. The gaps between the bars were perhaps 20 centimeters square. You could peer inside, but it wasn't really something a human could pass through. If I had known better, I wouldn't have thought it to be anything more than a simple cover to protect against falling in. From what Kyrie had told me, I knew it had been made to prevent intruders from entering the secret underground passage at the bottom. But the cover was fixed in place extremely firmly and no matter how much I pushed or pulled, I couldn't even get close to removing it. So that's another clue. These guys are lying about coming out of the sewer from Kuwadorian. How did they come out of that sewer grate and Battler can't get back in the same way they came out, right? That's not fucking something that's accurate. Couldn't find any obvious lock. Maybe it was sealed by some mechanism. But no matter how much I investigated it, I couldn't find anything to release it. The underground passage to this well is the biggest piece of information I have that Kyrie-san gambled her last moments trying to tell me about.
こんな二程度で俺を阻めると思うんじゃねえぜ。こいつをぶち壊してやる。その道具を探そう。
I had an idea of where to get one, because I had seen the various tools in the gardening shed when we locked Goda-san and Kumasawa-san in there. Back to the gardening shed we go. But the shutter to the gardening shed was locked. On top of that, the key was with Goda-san, who was inside dead. In other words, the gardening storehouse was his locked room. Remember, he didn't confirm these two being killed, so maybe we will now. There's no way to open it from the outside. In that case, I would have to break the shutter. I wonder if there's a tool for that somewhere. I feel like I was going in circles. Then while searching for that, I learned that the source of the stench that had been permeating in the mansion this whole time was the underground boiler room. The boiler room was dimly lit, humid, and had a terrible stench, and on top of all that was incredibly creepy. But there were several large tools there, and I was able to find a fire hatchet and a massive bolt cutter. Let's go. And grandfather's corpse too. No, strictly speaking, I should probably say I found the burnt corpse of a person who was probably grandfather. Someone's corpse had been stuffed into the blazing fires of the boiler. However, by coincidence, I was able to notice the number of toes in that corpse. Both had 6 toes. Yeah, actually, I might have heard from Dad from some point at long ago. Something about grandfather having polydactyly, but the extra toes. It was apparently a no Ushiromiya tradition for people with extra fingers or toes to be treated as a good omen, saying they had good fortune or something. I'll just say this: winners create history. They definitely didn't think it was good fortune. They thought it was bad fortune. But the people who thought it was bad fortune all died out. So who is the person that can now create the new legend? The dude with fucking 6 toes. So now, all of a sudden it's good fortune. That's what happened, guys. It wasn't ever considered good fortune in the family. He just made that seem like it was. And that's why grandfather was selected to be the next head or something along those lines. Not at all. Not at all. He was the only one left, basically. But I wonder if I could be certain that this is grandfather's body just from the number of toes. We're not actually sure if this is Kinzo's body. It could be somebody that just got tacked on an extra toe to make it seem like it was fucking Kinzo. Or it could actually be his body. Well, we already know that he's been dead for at least like 6 or 7 months before the game starts. Before October the 4th starts. It's kind of weird to think that they would have kept his body for that long without, burying it or burning it or something. They might have. But it might seem like an easier thing to explain away that this is somebody else's body. And it's not too weird about keeping your dead father's body for all these months. Kraus and Natsui, really. After all, grandfather was supposed to be the leader of the group of culprits. I don't have a clue why he'd be dead and stuffed in the boiler in a place like this. He was never alive, that's why. You got hosed. A mysterious corpse burning and belching out a terrible stench amid the flames. If it really was grandfather, it might be. That means that the leader of the group of culprits wasn't grandfather, but that Beatrice after all. Yes! Thank you. Grandfather was used because it was convenient and then was thrown away at the end? Yes. Unfortunately, it didn't look like I'd be given a chance to hear grandfather's explanation. Does she have a time machine? Now that I had tamed the tool, I thought about immediately taking on the cover to the well. But I decided to break the shutter to the gardening shed first. I had plenty of time to kill it anyway. I thought I could check on the condition of Goda-san and Kumasawa-san's corpses. So now we're going to confirm that they're actually dead. Remember I hypothesized that they would actually be alive and they pretended to be dead because nobody could really check their corpses from the window. But we'll see in a second if that's true or not. I hit the shutter with a hatchet, breaking into it. Stuck the bolt cutter into the crack and scissored it around, opening a hole. That's what she said. Looks like they actually did. Looks like I was wrong there. So, somebody actually did ask Goda for the key through the window. The person dressed up as Beatrice probably did. They got the key, they opened up the shutter, and apparently, I guess Goda and Kumasawa were their accomplices too, I guess. Because they said all that bullshit about magic and they were lying. Then they willingly let Beatrice into the goddamn garden shed, thinking they were gonna fool Battler, right? And they're like, oh yeah, what's the next step of fooling Battler? And then Beatrice is like, the next step is you die. And then they got shot in the face, probably. They got shot in the face, and then they got strung up by Beatrice. And then Beatrice, you know, put the key back in the fucking pocket of Goda, redid the hatch, and fucking crawled out the fucking window up top. That's probably what happened. As a result, I learned some new facts. First, they did not die by being hanged. Here we go. Their feet were solidly on the floor, and both of their foreheads showed signs that they'd been shot with a gun. So again, guys, everybody's getting killed with a gun here. So we know that it was Beatrice that killed these two, and then staged it like it was going to be a fucking hanging, thinking that Battler would never come into this room to see that they're not being hanged. When I thought about what a normal noose was like, the ropes seemed considerably on the long side. On top of that, the length was different on each of the mat to match the height of each person. In other words, lengths had been adjusted so that Goda, who was tall, and Kumasawa, who was short, had their feet solidly but barely on the ground. Also, while the ropes carried both of their weights as their heads lowered, both of them had some slack below their knees. This meant that if they stood upright with those nooses around their necks, there would be some extra length. In other words, these ropes were a bit unsuitable to hang somebody with. No way they can get hanged. No way. Direct cause of death is probably the shot to the head. It was gruesome. Their insides were still dripping out from those deep holes, staining their faces with deep red. Damn. Disgusting. I'll drink to that. Then they were hung up by their necks and left on display, and that probably makes the most sense. If they were shot with a gun, they would probably have been lying down on the floor. If that had been the case, you wouldn't have been able to tell they were dead by peeking through the window. The mountain of stuff they would have gotten in the way, so if they had been lying down, they would have been hidden. That's why they strung them up, basically. To make the deaths of these two known to the rest of us who couldn't get inside, they had to hang them like this so we could tell from the outside. Was this just to get back at us for thinking that the two of them would surely be safe if we left the key with them? Sorta. I wonder where the shutter key we gave Goda-san, which should have ensured their safety, is now. It's in his pocket. The key was in his trouser pocket. There you go. The gardening shed key had been kindly left there, and even the tag was still attached. In other words, the gardening storehouse was locked roomed after all. Not really. Okay, we're asking another question. Excuse me. Because this hanging was inexplicable, they didn't commit suicide, then the nooses were set up by the culprit. It might have been possible to shoot them through the window, but I really can't imagine that someone could have tied two ropes to the beam from the outside. On top of that, they would have to lift up the heavy corpses. There's just no way! In other words, to do all of this, they would have had to go inside. But the key was in Goda-san's pocket and the shutter was still locked. In other words, the gardening storehouse was a locked room. It's a locked room if you don't have an accomplice on the other side. Which is the case, basically. Goda-san and Kumasawa-san were accomplices to the person who's the main culprit. The main culprit came outside, asked for the key, and they gave him the key. The culprit opened the shutter, killed him, closed the shutter back. Before closing the shutter back, they put the key back in Goda-san's pocket, then closed the shutter back. Bam. Mystery solved. Crawled out through the window. Goda-san had said that there were only one key for this shutter, but it's possible there was a copy and that the culprit was in possession of it. That's also another possibility. But it's a needless possibility. You don't need another key. You just need to be in cahoots with Goda. We're allowed to theorize that there were actually multiple guarding storehouse keys and that Goto-san didn't know about them, then isn't this even then this isn't even close to a locked room. That's also another possibility. But why is that, despite the fact that almost all of the other corpses were shot to death and left almost completely alone, that these two corpses alone were intentionally hoisted up? Couldn't help but feel something a bit odd about that. Just so you can see it, basically, so you can lose some hope, gain some despair before you go into the test, basically. That's pretty much it. Assuming that the mystery corpse in the boiler was grandfather, the deaths of the 16 people had now been confirmed. There were 18 people on the island. It's me and 16 corpses. Cannon's corpse was the only one I hadn't been able to confirm yet. That's pretty important. Why is Cannon the only person that we can't find or confirm? Remember, Cannon's corpse is also missing in episode, I believe 2, right? Episode 2, they couldn't find Cannon's corpse. It was just disappear, and like they used Cannon's corpse to kill other people and shit. It's always like an issue. Cannon's corpse is always an issue. Why? Why would you think that? Right? Remember, he's a servant too, so he should be in on Kinzo's scheme against Battler. So why was his corpse missing? Let's see what he says about Cannon here. Rose, what? There you go. Nothing. Okay, nothing new. Well, that's interesting. We can't confirm Cannon's death. Everybody else is confirmed dead. Pretty much. According to Kyrie, he was killed by climbing out of the cell and fell down into it. And so, again, how do you fall down into the well? There's a big ass grate on top of the well that you can't open up. Like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any fucking sense. So if the well closed up like this, it was impossible to check. Who closed the fucking well up, right? After he died? Nobody. It's impossible. I tried shining a flashlight through the bars, down the darkness in the depths of the well. It seemed like the jet black darkness had no intention of showing me its innermost depths with its inadequate light. Look at that, I had to break the bars after all. Using the hatchets and things I dragged out of the boiler room and the guarding shed, I tried to break in the cover of the well. So Battler's gonna try to fucking find Cannon's corpse. Metal bars were extraordinarily sturdy, breaking them wasn't easy. I hit them with the hatchet over and over until my hands started feeling weird and eventually gave up on breaking them. It's impossible. If they were at least wood, I might have been able to break them. This metal! There's no way you can slice through metal bars like butter with a human strength. Can't even begin to understand that story about how Cannon cut through the metal bars. With magic. She told me that a light like a red laser beam grew out of his arm. Again, this is all farce that somebody fed Kyrie this story to tell. She didn't see this, she didn't acknowledge this, nor did she believe this is true. But she told us to Battler because she's thinking it's a prank on Battler, basically. It's a little mystery murder room mystery guys that she's trying to play on him. Unfortunately, it turned real for Kyrie. A little too real, right? And he used it to slice through the metal bars like a knife through butter. Like a knife through butter? Cutting through metal bars like butter? And what's with the red laser beam? Does that mean he snuck a burner in or something? And used that to burn through the bars? It's what kind of laser could cut through metal bars like butter? It sounds exactly like the kinds of laser beams that showed up in these robot anime that I loved as a kid. Does stuff like that actually exist? Or is it actually a story that a kid would make up? How did Cannon get that laser beam? As much as I wanted to ask him, he's already been killed. Where's the body at? Has he been killed? Where's the body at? Plus, even his corpse is now at the bottom of the well beyond its cover. Is it? If Cannon managed to slice through those metal bars, I'm sure he could handle this metal cover in a single swing. It kind of feels like the locked room just now with Goda locked inside the guarding storehouses, holding the key. Only one person can open the door, but they're locked inside. If I only had the power of pretending I could do something about this cover myself. That's who is Canon. He couldn't really be an inhuman being capable of using a strange power, right? Even Kyrie told me to believe in witches, but I've also met an insane woman calling herself one. Could Canon be possibly a human on the witch side? Or else the culprit? What the heck? I'm glad that he said that. I'm glad that he asked this question. Because Canon, at this point, is the most suspicious person here, right? Who's the only body that we haven't accounted for? Well, damn, it's Canon, right? So, could Canon possibly be the person dressed up as Beatrice? I think it's very possible. With a bodysuit, with a fucking voice change, some makeup. Canon passes as Beatrice, right? Let's go ahead and test that. Let's go to the character pane here. Let's look at Canon's face. Real quick. Canon has blue eyes, right? He has blue eyes. He has black hair, but he's got a slender body, right? What does Beatrice look like here? Beatrice has blue eyes, right? A slender body. She has blonde hair, but you can just put a wig on, right? So, yeah. I would say, if I want to make a hypothesis about Canon being Beatrice, that could fly. So, I mean, it's very sus that Canon's body is not here. Because he could definitely pass for Beatrice. I would say. Does he have any motive? That's the only thing, and that's where the problem lies. Why would Canon have motive to kill Battler? Or to kill Battler's family at the very least? And why would Canon be upset about something 6 years ago that happened with Battler? Like, what's going on here? Some kind of boys' love interlude? I'm not sure. But he's very sus right now. We've got opportunity. We don't have motive or means at this point. We do have opportunity though. The opportunity because his body is the only body that's there that it could be as the culprit. Nobody else's body is accounted for. Let's come back to the human side here. See, everybody else's body is accounted for except for the person dressed up as Beatrice and Canon. Everybody else is dead. And Battler's confirmed that. So it pretty much only can be Canon at this point. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now. That's a good theory. If you think it's Canon, it's a good theory. That's all I'll say. What the heck? Am I going to start treating him like the culprit just because I can't find his corpse? Yes. Yes. You should.
死体がないだけで犯人扱い。疑わしきは白だとほざいたのは誰だってよかろう。カノンに全ての犯行を押し付けて人間犯人説にされてはかなわぬ。わらわが赤にて保証する。カノンは死亡している。
Here we go. Canon is dead. Now, again, she says this in red, but if Canon's a fake personality from somebody who identifies as Beatrice, Canon dying means nothing. That just means that the Beatrice person, the person dressing up as Beatrice, just shed one of her personalities and quote-unquote killed Canon's personality. No body doesn't mean a shit. You can say this in Reddit all day. Doesn't mean shit. Canon, the person behind Canon, can still be alive at this point. So, keep that in mind. Number 5 in Kyrie's cube. His personality was the first to die. That's all she's saying here.
つまりは9人目の犠牲者というわけ。
No body, no victim. Where's the body at? Fine, bitch.
死体がない以上カノン君が死亡しているとは断言できない。
わらわが赤に囁いたけど駒であるそなたには届かぬ。
She says that in red for the player, for me basically, for the person in the metagame. But this battler is on the real world pane. He's not in the meta world, This is why we can believe what he's seeing right now, because he's actually seeing this with his own eyes, not with fucking fake ass magic lens. The shit that's happening now, that's why we're confirming who's dead or not in this tea party, because he's the only person that can confirm that shit. He's the only person with a POV we can actually trust. So she can say this shit in red all she wants. He's never gonna hear this shit. He's actually a living, breathing human, basically.
そなた
Oh, it reached me. Thank you.
と
Well, thank you, Beatrice, for thinking about me. With that, we're gonna take a quick break. Thank you, Beatrice. Let me get another beer, because she's referred to me directly now. Senpai noticed me. We'll be right back, guys.